pretty good mic, pretty good webcam, so I probably don't need it. But I guess as the game hasn't started. Um, it's Friday, July 3rd, and it's the finals of the CHESSABLE Rapid between Magnus, Carlsen, and Anish Giri. It looks like Giri's white the first game. They're going to start in about a minute, and so forth. Hello. Um, I haven't uploaded videos in a while, so I guess after this round is done, I'll go back and upload probably about 8 or 9 videos, and then I'll schedule them, and over the next 5 days or so, we'll get caught up. Something like that. Yeah. Let's see. Does it say I'm streaming yet? No. That's why there's nobody here. If you're not here, raise your hand. I think Giri is a pretty big underdog, and I expect he will lose both matches, and the event will end slightly early on the 4th of July, and so on, and so forth. Oh, volume's good. Everything's good. Whenever you think there's a problem with the volume, you should turn up your volume, and that'll fix it. Just scrap, subscribe. Good, good. Hello. All right, so Anish played d4. He likes to play the London, just like Magnus, and he decided not to play the London. Magnus, I think, likes to play knight f6, bishop b4 against the knights coming out. Thanks for the subscription, GC Kaz, and so forth. Your volume is maxed. I don't know, get a new computer. Okay, so knight f3. He played c6. So Magnus is playing something that he very rarely plays, which I think is a good idea against Anish Giri, because Giri's booked to the gills in the lines that he's expecting. So if you play lines he doesn't know or doesn't expect, then I think Magnus believes he can outplay him, which is correct. And so forth. And so on. And don't forget it. Let's see. Da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da-da. Put it on 92, 91. Yeah, 91's good. 91. Yay. It's a train. More 83. More, more, more. How many trains can we have? Let's see. Crash, crash, bunny. Yeah. See, when I talk louder like this, then the volume goes up. And when I talk quieter, it goes down. That's the way life works. All right, so Giri played knight bd2, which is very unusual. And what he's trying to do is get Magnus out of his secret illegal preparation by playing a passive move. Now, Giri likes playing passive moves, so he's pretty happy. More common would have been either e3 or knight c3. And the question is whether or not Giri's going to fianchetto his bishop or not, or play e3. And probably fianchetto this bishop. So I think the opening battle was won by Magnus. He played something Giri wasn't expecting, and as a result, Giri played the passive line. Yeah. Let's see. That's right, illegal is correct. It's a train. Go trains. It's Pam. It's Ain't KJ. It's Millennium. It's etc. Mainly, etc. It's Dr. Bojangles. Okay, so he played g3. So we'll get a Catalan Rady type of game where blacks played a pretty early e6, which is fine. Or c6, I should say. Well, as I said before you guys showed up, I expect Magnus is going to win both matches today and tomorrow, and we'll have a short final. Xenoid1 gave 400 centidues, putting us at level 2. Good, good. Trying to learn is cutting off work today. I've never seen him here so early. Go trying to learn. No more work. And so forth. I don't know, it looks like people have been subbing to start the train, and then Moobot says nobody subbed for 9 hours. Very suspicious, Moobot. Never in all my years have I seen such, indolence from Moobot. 111 viewers, yay. Both players are playing very slowly since they try to play an opening that their opponent didn't prepare for. So now they're on their own, as the preacher said to Cleavon Little in Blazing Saddles, etc. I'll turn the light on. Bishop e7's good move. Black's going to also fianchetto his bishop, and so forth. Is that brighter? Does the chair look better when I'm not sitting in it? It's Karen. Go Karen. Pam has gifted 2 subs. Thanks, Pam. Hooray. Yeah. All right. So bishop g2. Magnus plays like a weaker version of Karpov. So he's boring and doesn't do anything and waits for his opponents to blunder. Very similar to Petrosian, I would say. I guess even more than Karpov, because Karpov was always billed as like an active Petrosian. So I guess Carlsen just plays like Petrosian. That would be a good, what's the word? Whatever the word is. Comparison. That's it. Yeah. Let's see. Exactly. Yeah. Blazing Saddles is correct. Anyway, Magnus is a lot better than Giri, so I expect Magnus is going to win this match quite handily today and tomorrow. All right, so normally in the Catalan, if it's a regular Catalan, White doesn't play knight bd2 very early because he often plays knight c3, which is a more active square. But since they played a weird move order, that's okay. So the question is Giri going to play e4 immediately or very quickly, or is he going to fianchetto his bishop and put his rooks in the center? He'll do one of them. And, position's about equal. d2 is not the most active square for the knight. If the knight was on c3, then White could play bishop f4. But now it's not going to happen. So probably b3, bishop b2. Okay, he played e4. So now Magnus probably won't take on e4. He played knight a6. And Magnus may even know this position. Might be transposed from his preparation. Problem with playing e5, which he might play, is then we don't have any pressure on d5 here, so Black can try to play c5 later and totally destroy White's center. So if White does play e5, then it makes sense to take the pawn on d5 soon thereafter, and then, Black is basically equal. Yeah, knight a6 I think is a good way to try to take advantage of queen c2, because the rook wants to go to c8, the knight can go to b4, and we can play c5. See, the thing is, Giri likes positions like me, where if you don't do anything, you're equal or better. And he doesn't want to have a position where he has to use a lot of energy to show that his position is good. He just wants the position to be good on its own. So now that Giri has a lot of options, like taking this either way, or b3, bishop b2, or e5, or putting the rook in the middle, and it's not clear what's going to happen to the pawn structure yet, and he's not sure if Magnus is going to play c5 at any point, that's not a good position for Giri. That's not his style. His style is nothing's happening, and the engine says it's equal, and his opponent blunders eventually. Or he draws. So this kind of position, I think, is bad for Giri. Yay, we made it to level 1. That's pretty good. Good support. Yeah. Hooray. Who's white? Giri's white. Magnus is black. Yeah. F4 is not an idea because pawns can't jump over the knight. And you don't want to play F4 because that weakens your king. The idea here is to get this bishop to a good square and put these rooks on good squares. Those are the three pieces that are on bad squares. So yeah, I would say the opening was quite a success for Carlsen because he has a position that Anish doesn't really know or understand, and that's not Anish's strong suit. Anish isn't really good at playing chess. He's good at playing lots and lots and lots of theory, trading a lot of pieces, drawing, and trying to get to the Armageddon and drawing with black. That's really his strong suit. But positions like this that have a lot of ideas, where it's not clear where the rook should go for either side, it's not clear what's going to happen to this pawn structure over the next 5 moves. He's not good at that. Now, obviously, he's almost outclassed in this match. He's just a much worse player than Magnus. But it's 15 minutes, so people can blunder. Obviously, one of Giri's weaknesses in these kinds of tournaments is basically what's happening now. Is he goes in for these huge things, and that's not what 15-minute chess is about. So he needs a coach to tell him to not do that. And one of Magnus's strengths when he's playing well is he plays quickly, which is sort of like Karpov. And like Giri doesn't want to play e5 because it's an aggressive move and it changes the pawn structure. So it takes him a long time to play a move like that. He just can't. Yeah. Now after the knight moves, in my opinion, white should probably take this pretty quickly. Otherwise, I think c5 is going to be good for black. And then it's going to bust this open. E5 is going to be weak. The queen's going to be misplaced. So, yeah, again, this isn't really Giri's style to play, to like push all his pawns in the center. That's more Nepomniachtchi's style. And so forth. Yeah. Yeah, I can't even, I don't think I live in a world where Giri wins 2 matches against Magnus. Yeah. I mean, he could win 1 match because he's done it before, but I expect Magnus to win both matches. Yeah. And the thing is, like, Giri shouldn't be thinking here. He thought for 4 minutes about e5. He knew that black was going to go here, and now he's thinking again. He's just very unsure of himself. Okay, a3 is a very passive move, and after c5, probably black's already better. Because white's pushing all of his center pawns, and they're just going to collapse. And he's going to have weaknesses. So a3, e5, a3 is just not very good. I mean, probably chess just isn't Giri's game. Maybe they should have a spelling contest. See, I quoted a different movie. Yeah, Nepomniachtchi Magnus would have been a lot better because Nepomniachtchi would have, went totally nuts and got crushed, but he would have went totally nuts. So that would have been good. But unfortunately, we have to see the bromance match. So I guess Sopiko's getting jealous over here. This is still theory. Karpov Tal. Yeah, this 1987 isn't really the cutting edge of theory. That's more of something that that Yasser would say. See, it doesn't make any sense. I can't believe the chat doesn't make any sense. So Carlsen has a lot of reasonable moves here. I assume c5 is the best move. And the engine says knight c7 is okay. That's not a move I would consider. You could play queen c7 to connect his rooks, but I mean, I would just play c5. It's funny, there's a game that was played in the 1994 U.S. Championship between Gregory Kaidanov white and Yasser Seirawan was black. And Yasser played bishop b4 check in like a Bogo Indian Catalan, and Kaidanov, played knight d2, I think. And then they played like this, and then Yasser put his bishop back on e7. even without Kaidanov playing a3. And Kaidanov looked at Yasser. They analyzed the game afterwards, which Yasser won very easily with black. And Kaidanov said, so you're just a tempo down in theory? And Yasser said, yeah. And he said, oh, okay. Because instead of like playing bishop e7, like Magnus did this game, they got the same opening with bishop here, bishop here. And then Kaidanov just played the same way that Giri's playing. And I remember it went like e4, and then Yasser didn't take here. And eventually, Yasser just won very easily with black in this position, except he was a tempo down, which is pretty funny. So this is a big decision whether to play c5 or to play knight c7, rook c8, queen c7. c5 changes the nature of the game, and it's a lot different than if Magnus allows Anish to take on d5 and he takes back with the c pawn, which he will. And then it's a big decision that changes the game. So he's calculating what happens on all these captures. And eventually I think he's going to play c5. Magnus seems like he's in pretty good form this tournament, even though he hung a piece against, Ding in one move and some other weird stuff happened. It's 15 minutes, so they don't play perfectly. They play better than perfectly. Yeah, this taking several minutes a move in the opening, early middle game in a 15-minute game is... I tell myself not to do it either, but it's really, really bad to do that. You don't want to be on move 23 to 33 and have like 2 minutes on your clock. That's like the worst thing you can do. The point of the game, the important part of the game is in the 20s and early 30s. That's when it's decided who's going to win. And if you have 10 minutes and your opponent has 2 minutes, that means you're going to win. So both of these guys taking forever in a 15-minute game is wrong. And, the coaches should be telling them that. And they're like, and then they just never move. And the coaches are even worse. If you have a coach who's, between like 2,550 and 2,700 FIDE, which I'm sure they do, that means they're going to take forever too, because the better you get at chess, the more of a perfectionist you are. You don't want to make any mistakes. And then you just think forever, even though you don't have the time to do that. Obviously, this is one of Karen's issues, is she wants to play the best move. I don't have this problem. Now, of course, when I'm playing you guys on the internet, and it's like my stream, I'm just kidding. If I was playing Magnus or somebody better than me in a 15-minute game, I would just not do anything I said, even though it's right, because I just can't do it. I would be like, you have to play fast, and I wouldn't play fast. The one time I followed my own advice, and it worked, was against Mamedyarov. If you look at my 15-minute game with Mamedyarov that I won about 3 years ago, I guess, in the Pro Chess League, I just played fast because I know if Mamedyarov has, 7 minutes and I have 1 minute, I'm going to get 0 out of 1,000. So I just played really fast, and he had the advantage. Okay, now Magnus played knight c7. He thought forever on that, way too long. This indicates to me that Magnus doesn't want to do anything and make Giri, control the game. And then Giri has to make a lot of decisions on how to control the game. And if there's no captures and there's no obvious plan, he's hoping Giri just takes forever like he does. And then when Giri gets in time trouble, he'll try to whoop him. And there's nothing wrong with knight c7, but again, white could play anything here. He could take on d5, b3 or b4, rook e1 or rook d1, h4, h3. Giri's more of an h3 guy than an h4 guy. So he's giving Giri a lot of choices without doing anything. And after takes, he wants to take with the knight. That's why he played knight c7. Then he can still play c5 later. And his knight's not really great on a6 anyway. So against my advice, and I'm sure the advice of their coaches and their own good senses, neither player ever moves because they don't want to make a mistake. And all they're doing is setting themselves up to make a mistake later. Right? And that's one of the reasons Hikaru's very good at rapid, is he doesn't do that. I mean, he usually doesn't do that. Obviously, you do it sometimes. But, if if you're watching Hikaru play somebody between like 2,600 and 2,800 FIDE, and it's moved 20 or 25 in this time control, it would be a good bet that Hikaru has more time. And when Hikaru has 7 minutes and his opponent has 2, that's ridiculous. So that's how you play rapid chess. And it's hard to do. You know that you have to do it, but it's still hard to do it. Yeah, I mean, neither player is moving ever. So when they get to move 20, 25, and they both have a minute left, the game's going to get silly. Okay, I think Magnus is going to take with the knight because he played knight c7. Taking with either pawn is okay. Taking with the e pawn is the most, I don't want to say challenging. It's the most, in your face kind of move. Like, it probably gives white the advantage, but the knight can go to e6, the pawn can go to c5, and he forces Giri to like prove his advantage. And okay, so they took with the knight, which is why he played knight c7. Now you have to give squares to get squares, says Bobby Fischer. And now white wants to play bishop g5 and knight g5. So h6 is clearly the best move to me. And see, now this is why Magnus is the favorite in this match. If he was playing Nepomniachtchi now, Nepomniachtchi would play the correct plan, which is to play like a lunatic. G4, G5, and try to punish black for his passive position and having no pieces in front of his king. But Giri doesn't usually play like that. Giri plays rook e1, bishop d2, rook c1, h3, and then black's better because black has a better structure. These pawns can be hammered, and white's going to have weaknesses eventually because he's moved all his pawns up the board. If you're going to move all your pawns up the board, then you gotta show why. So the engine plays g4 here and says white's better, and it's hard for me to believe that Giri can play like that he can just, play like a lunatic like Nepomniachtchi would. And sometimes that's the right plan and sometimes it's not, and that's not the way Giri plays. But, I mean, if white doesn't play like a lunatic, what do you want him to do? He's got this nice knight on e4. He can possibly get an attack against black's king, but it's very weakening to do that. It gives you an isolated h-pawn. It weakens all these squares, and it's bad for the endgame. So that's not usually the way Giri plays. So that's why this is a very good choice for Magnus, I would say, is getting this position where he's forcing Giri to play very energetically, which he doesn't like to do, and then he did it. G4, the best move. It took him a while, but he still did it. So Nepomniachtchi's like, that's why I lost to Giri. And now Magnus should play c5, because if he doesn't do anything, then Giri's going to start attacking. He didn't play g4 to not attack. So very good move from Giri. Very unexpected from my point of view. That's just not the way he plays. And I think Magnus should play c5 and get counterplay right away in the center. And so on. Let's see. People in the chat are like, wow, g4. Is that really Anish playing? Man, the truth hurts. The absolute madman. Giri's going hard. That looks more like a Hikaru move, is the chat in the chess.com chat. I think white wins. Rawr. Yeah, I think Hikaru would play g4, yeah. And Nepomniachtchi. Yeah, and you guys. Exactly. So it was funny yesterday when Giri was playing Nepomniachtchi. I was like, wow, those guys are playing fast, which is good. And now it's the opposite. It's the finals. It's the first game. Both players are scared. There's a bromance going on. Neither one wants to, It's sort of like George and the guy that Elaine was dating when they climbed the rock climbing and the guy fell and broke his face. And then she couldn't spare a square. Yeah, that episode. Yeah. Why g4? Wants to play g5, and he wants to play queen h7 mate eventually. Queen h7 mate with advantage. Yeah. Tony. Hey, Tony. Hey, Tony. Yeah, exactly. The Mimbo. Yeah, that episode was just on this morning. That's right. I've only seen it 10 times. Yeah. Didn't have a square to spare. I mean, even after all my crazy commentary, saying how slow the players are playing. They're playing pretty slow. I mean, both players have used more than half of their time, and we're on move 14. I mean, if the game goes 50, 60 moves, the last 30 moves of the game are going to be like played 10 seconds a move. So they take 3 minutes a move when the position doesn't matter as much. Then when the position is really important, they have like 30 seconds on their clock. And this is a big problem with class players. You know, people, especially my former students, when you're somebody who is a student and you've decided to take chess lessons, normally that means you want to improve your chess, which means you don't move 1 second to move. If you play blitz chess and bullet chess all day, and you're moving in 1 second every move in every game you play, you're probably not somebody who wants chess lessons. You just play for fun. But if you're playing slow chess and you want your rating to go up and you want to analyze your games, then the main issue those people have, if you can call them people, is they never move because they want to make the perfect move. And, you know, obviously, it sounds like I'm describing Karen here. And when Karen plays in a slow time control tournament, then, you know, and when she's going to the World Open, and when the time control is like hours and hours and hours and hours, then she really plays a lot higher than her actual rating because she can think 3, 4, 5 minutes a move and play the right move, and her opponent doesn't do that. But when it's game 30 or game 15 or game 5, Karen still tries to play the perfect move and flag falls. So she gets a lot of winning positions where she's in time trouble. And obviously when you're as good as these guys are, you would think they would avoid that, but you'd be wrong because look what they're doing. It's move 15 and they both have 5 minutes left. Ridiculous. Okay, so Carlsen correctly played c5 and Giri correctly played g5. And Giri wants to play queen h7 mate with advantage. So if Carlsen gets mated, then he'll lose. If Carlsen doesn't get mated over the next 10, 15 moves, White's pawn structure is not going to make any sense, and White's going to be strategically losing. That's not really Giri's style to play like this, but it was correct. And Magnus forced him to play this way, so that I agree with that. So Magnus is deciding whether to play h5 or to take on d4, and he probably should have decided that when he played c5 because he knew g5 was coming. Instead, neither player ever makes any moves. So I don't know. Ridiculous. Nobody at all subscribed. No, put it in H. It was like a fake Catalan, I would call it. It was a semi-Slav Catalan something. Some kind of opening. Yeah, nobody knows. Yeah. Well, obviously, one of Fabi's faults in Rapid, which I think he corrected, was he played too slow or too slowly. And I think over the last 6 months to a year, Fabi's corrected that. And I don't think Fabi plays slower the first 10, 20, 30 moves than the other players do now. So his results are better. I mean, Magnus has less than 4 minutes left and it's move 15. What? So that's weird. But he's either going to play h5 or take on d4. h5 seems safer because if you take on d4, obviously I'm going to take on h6. Then you have to play g6. And then, you know, Nepomniachtchi should be playing, obviously. If you saw the game that I did the game of the day for chess.com's YouTube page, you know, Nepomniachtchi went totally nuts and Giri was winning and then he messed it up and drew. They both messed it up. Okay, so he played g5, cd4, gh6, g6 is forced, I think. And, right, now this kind of position, this is going to confuse you now. It doesn't matter what the engine says, okay? All that matters is who's white. Is Kasparov in his prime white? Is Tal in his prime white? Is Morphy white? Or is Giri white and Giri has 4 minutes on his clock? Giri doesn't want to have white here. Giri doesn't want to have black here. Okay? Doesn't matter what the engine says. This is not a Giri kind of position. So Giri's not happy because Giri wants to play the right move And nobody could play the right move. And people like Kasparov just calculate these big attacks. Tal's very creative and wants to get an attack. And Giri, like, leave me alone. I just want to be better. Stop that. So this just isn't his kind of position. He played knight e g5, which is okay. The engine's not a big fan of that move. But obviously, it's a really human kind of move. You know, you get your pieces over here. And the engine really hates that move. I mean, I don't. It just seems like a normal move. But the engine says, like, black has a big advantage now. And that's because in these kinds of positions, it's very hard to play the right move. Now here, Giri wants to play knight takes e6. And the kind of chat that I get in my channel is something like, why doesn't Anish play knight takes e6 here? And my answer is, it's not his turn. That's the usual kind of chat that we get. And the move that you're suggesting is correct. Knight g5, according to the engine, is very bad. After rook c8, it says black's like winning. I don't know why black's winning. Seems like it's just a normal position where white went crazy attacking and black has a tough defense. But again, it doesn't really matter what the engine says. What matters is how comfortable the players are and how well they play these positions. They can't see the engine during the game. I can. You can. It says black's winning. Okay? I don't know if I believe that. Seems like white has good compensation here. White's not really even down any material. Okay, so he saved his queen. Queen went to d1. Maybe he'll take on d4. Swing over here. He stopped the knight takes e6 threat for the time being, and so forth. So one of the ideas the engine has is, since this knight is overworked defending these two, it wants to play the move d3, which is very hard for a human to play. And I guess the idea is if you take it, I can play knight takes e5, and, you know, there's a lot of tactics going on here. d3 is not really a human move. You can also play rook takes c1, always sacrifice the exchange. The idea is if you take with the rook, the knight is hanging. If you take with the queen, the knight takes e5, and it says black's better. That seems more like a human move than d3. But the problem is both sides don't have any time here, so it's very unlikely we're going to see engine move, engine move, engine move, engine move. And if somebody like Nakamura was playing this position, I would expect he would have 7 minutes, his opponent would have 1 or 2, and he would win, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know how occasionally you play too slowly? Yeah. Like, neither one of them ever moves.
Oh, really?
So they're playing slower than you'd ever play. So now they have no time, and the position's really sharp. So it's just going to be a blunderfest. Oh. Yeah, I mean, they're both playing really slow. So, like, they're on move 2, and they both have 3 minutes left. Yeah, because move 1 and 2 was really difficult.
But at least the last part of the game will be exciting.
That's correct. Yeah. Okay, he played bishop a6. That's not a bad move. The engine wouldn't play that. And Magnus has a minute left? Come on, Magnus. So, yeah, he played rook e1 because he's Giri. Could also have played h4, crazy. Yeah. So Magnus should have played d3 before bishop a6. And it says he's still better. He still has these ideas, but he's defending his pawn. h4. Again, this looks like Nepomniachtchi's white, because that's how Giri's playing, and that's not his style. Okay, luckily for Giri, he has a huge time advantage. So the engine doesn't like knight c5 as much, but it doesn't matter. I mean, what's going to matter is when it's move 25 and they both have 30 seconds left, then it's going to matter. But this is the kind of chess we wanted to see. It's unfortunate that they both have no time left. But this is a crazy position where the engine says better, winning, equal, because, the engine looks 20 moves ahead and the players are playing based on their strategical skills. Will said skills pay the bills? We had a really good train right when it started. It ended at level 1. And it usually says such good support. It said, boo. Okay, Giri's move is a blunder. Giri played knight d4. He wants to do something here at some point, which you can never do because the knight's here. And he wants to get his queen into the game and so forth. And the engine says black's winning after knight f4 because we're attacking the queen. Knight e2 check. Knight takes g2. And Magnus played knight f4. And I mean, once the queen gets here and this pawn, and yeah. Yeah, so this was a very bad mistake by Giri. And probably he thought, like if I was Giri, I would think if he plays knight f4, I can play knight c6. If I'm not going to play knight c6, I wouldn't have played knight d4. I would have been like, oh, knight f4, never mind. So if he plays knight c6, which was probably his idea, that doesn't work because of knight e2 check. And you're just getting completely crushed. If the king moves, we sack the exchange, we take here, and then d2's winning for black if you take back. Okay, if you don't take back, then d2's winning for black. And bishop takes knight is winning for black, and so forth. And Giri probably thought, if I play knight d4, I'm threatening, the knight can't move to f4 because of knight c6, but that's not true. So Giri just took the knight, queen takes, black's up a pawn, and white's position is basically falling apart. That's why Giri doesn't want to play this way. Giri doesn't want to play the all-in way. He wants to be like slightly better and grind the position out and draw the game. So even when the engine says he has a good position, when it's this kind of position, he doesn't like that. Where he's forced to play like a million good moves in a row. Okay, now Magnus just blundered. d2 was a good move. And now Magnus needed to play either knight b3 or bishop e2. And after bishop e2, you're forking this. So the queen takes and the queen takes. Or knight b3 attacks the rook and defends the pawn. But Magnus thought this was winning, I guess, threatening this and this. Right? That's a lot of threats. And the bishop's pinned. And I don't know if he overlooked knight e4 or underestimated it, or he has no time on his clock. I don't know. So after knight e4, he goes from classy to ashy. I mean, Magnus was winning, and then after this, the engine says it's equal. I'm not saying that Giri's going to play knight e4, but he probably will, since that prevents all these threats. Probably a good idea to prevent all the threats. And it attacks this pawn again. Okay, he didn't do that. That was me clicking on it. These positions, if you have an hour on your clock, you can find the right defense, but both players have a minute, so it's just random, nonsense. It's pretty good random nonsense, but it's not the best random nonsense. Anyway, Magnus did everything right this game. He could still lose. And when I say everything right, I don't mean his moves are the best. He got the right position against Giri. He played where he got Giri very uncomfortable. And it didn't matter what the evaluation was. Giri doesn't like it. Okay? And when Giri didn't like it, he made some mistakes, and Magnus was winning. But Magnus took so much time on his clock that he made a mistake, and now Giri is okay. And as you can see, both sides have no time. So, yeah. All right. And the game actually could end in a repetition now by white attacking black's queen forever. That could happen. That's what the engine wants to do. I don't understand why my queen can't escape, but all right. Yeah, now it just says the queen escapes. I mean, I'd move my queen away. Black has two bishops. Black has a pawn on the 7th rank. White has the worst pawn structure ever. So black's obviously better. If white plays knight f6 ever, black just plays king h8 and he's safe. All right, and for some reason, Giri, who is 2 minutes ahead, is now over a minute behind. Now, even though Magnus made a mistake in this game when he played knight to d3, it's really good play by Magnus as far as getting that kind of position that Giri doesn't like. If he's playing Nepomniachtchi, he might have played differently. Yeah, and this is a very poor position for white because basically white goes all in. If it doesn't work, black has two bishops and a better pawn structure, which you can see. So he tried and he failed miserably. Okay, bishop e4 is a blunder. And now rook c4 is a very strong move, which I have no doubt Magnus will find, which attacks all of his pieces. Okay, and I was wrong. Bishop d3 is also a good move, just not as good, but it's a good move. Bishop d3, takes, queen takes, queen takes. Okay, and Magnus figures he'll win the endgame since white has 5 weak pawns and black has 0 weak pawns. 5's more than 0. So black has a better endgame. Black has a nice bishop. He's got a nice rook on the open file. All 5 of these pawns could be captured in the next 10 moves. They're all really weak. Black's pawn structure is great. Black has more time on the clock. And basically any reasonable move is good. Rook c4 attacking this. Rook c3 attacking this. Taking this knight is good since we can walk up and take this pawn. Any move is good. And black has a big advantage. So now Giri is going to have to suffer and try to draw this ending with all of his weak pawns. And this is what Giri was afraid of when he was playing e5 and g4 and h4, is that if his attack didn't work, the endgame would be terrible. That's why he doesn't like playing like that. All right, very passive move from Magnus. Very suspicious. Well, okay, the players don't have a lot of time on their clock, but really passive move. He must have been really afraid of rook d7. Okay, now he's going to be afraid of rook d7 again. The important thing is to be afraid of rook d7 every move. Yeah, so if the players talk to their coaches between rounds, which I assume they do, if I was the coach, I would say play faster. And between moves 10 and 20, don't have 1 minute on your clock. When you get to move 20, have 8 minutes on your clock. Then you can play well in this part of the game also. And even though black has a big advantage because white has 5 weak pawns, Magnus can't think 2 minutes a move and play good moves. He has to just move every 10 seconds or so. Okay, Magnus decided to simplify, and the engine just says this is equal now. Problem is after rook d8 and they trade, you can't take on h6 because rook h8 is mate. So rook here and rook here gives white really good drawing chances. Probably he should draw. So Magnus messed this up, but at least he still has more time. Yeah, if you can ever play king takes h6 because of mate, it's hard to win the game. Never trade. Papa John's, that is correct. It's Karen. Did the dogs jump on you after your shower?
Well, they're always jumping on me.
Yay. All right, both sides have seconds on their clock. So maybe Magnus will hang mate in 1. No, don't do that, Magnus. It just says every move is a draw. The king g2 is, get your king off the back rank, go defend your h-pawn, etc. I don't see how black ever wins this. I think it's going to be a draw. I mean, his pawns are all weak. So obviously the idea of e5 is he wants to play here and take this. So Giri plays the correct move, stopping rook to c6. I mean, he can still move his rook, but okay, b5, and now Giri wants to take all these pawns. So he's going to attack all those pawns. Give me those pawns, rawr, mad. I think the only winning chance is rook c5, and after rook here, I mean, that's got to be a draw. There's no pawns on the board. White has a passed pawn. So this should be a draw, but with both sides having 20, 30 seconds, I guess anything could happen. Okay, this b4 is just Magnus giving up. And the game's going to be a draw. Yeah, and rook e4 is the best move, so you can play f4 if rook e6. Rook b5 is not as good because after rook e6, technically he can still lose. It's a drawn position. f4 is also a pretty easy draw. So he'll either play f4 or rook e4. And it's going to be 2 against 2. Yeah, I agree with that move. Now if rook e6, he'll play f4 for sure, and so on. Can't take on f4 because rook takes, rook wins for white. King g3, mildly surprised. I mean, it doesn't matter why black can't win. Black can't really do anything. Pinky Jim 77 subscribed. When f3 is the drawing move, then you know something. Yeah, now he'll play f4 and take with the rook. And if you take, rook takes, king f4 is a draw. And if you check, rook f3 is a draw. So he'll play f4 check. I have spoken. It doesn't matter what he does. If he loses this pawn, it's 2 against 1. But this is an easy draw. Yeah, that's what he did. Conversely, rook takes e5 loses after takes here, here. Oh, wait a minute. Rook takes e5. Right. Takes here, king. Yeah. This move would lose if he tries to draw this way. Because now black's winning. So rook takes e5 doesn't work, but f4 works. And they agreed to a draw. Usually they play it out till stalemate, but they actually just repeated. Yeah, if you play rook here check, this move draws. And then king f4, which is transposing into the game. All right, so not the greatest game ever played, but it was really interesting until it wasn't. Oh, I thought he played rook takes f6 here, but he actually did play rook e3 check. After rook takes f6, I take and play king f4 and draw the same way. All right, and they drew by repetition and by reputation. So a very good game for Magnus. He had lots of winning chances. He had a time advantage near the end, but he couldn't win. A very lucky escape for Giri. The bromance continues. Right? Exactly. Let's see. And Karen's updated the score. Good, good. When does game 2 start? Whenever it starts. They didn't offer a draw. They repeated and the computer made it a draw. So no draw was offered. Thanks, Pinky Jim. You're the best. Yeah. So the biggest mistake Magnus made this game was the move knight to d3 in this position. Bishop e2 is very good for black. Knight b3 is very good for black. And after knight d3, knight e4, the game is close to a draw now. Yeah. And here, Magnus was very close to winning if he played rook c4. Probably winning. Probably. After this, then it's not so easy to win because, yeah, and rook c7 is very passive. Then you can't win after that. So Magnus made a few minor errors to not win, but probably rook c4 was his last chance to really be winning. And seems like I still keep my 2 bishops. Bishop d3 gives the 2 bishops away, which he didn't want to do. And so forth. So, yeah, Giri had a big advantage at some point, but not for very long. That Magnus was winning for a while, and then they drew. So, very suspicious. All right, and the next game has not been put up yet. It's funny, in chess.com, Hikaru's playing a blitz game, and then they're showing the other top games in the tab. And the third game is Hikaru Bot, which is 2,900. Not as good as Hikaru, who's 3,289. Hikaru Bot. 2,900 is pretty good. No title. Not a titled player. Hikaru Bot. Gotta get that title. Good handle. Okay, I'm not sure why the next game isn't up yet. Like why they don't even have like the game, gonna start in like 4 minutes. Maybe they forgot. All right, we have lots of viewer dues. Hooray. What if Giri wins now? Then he'll be ahead 1.5 to half. Hashtag math. How many games are in the tournament? Well, I don't know about that. But in this match, it's like every other match. Play a 4-game match. If it's tied, they play 2 blitz games. If it's tied, they play an Armageddon game. And then they do the same thing tomorrow. And if somebody wins one day and the other person wins the other day, then they do it a third day. And so on. Not sure why the game's not in the events tab. Let's see. I guess I'll tell them. Whenever I complain, like, where's the game? The game comes up like 1 second before I push enter. All right. I have complained. If it would be Armageddon, who would be white? I don't know. Do I have a prediction? Whatever Mr. T said. Pain? And Hikaru's blitz rating is pretty high. 3290. Is that my blitz rating? 3290. It sounds familiar. He's better than Hikaru bot. There's the game. Man, I knew if I complained, they put the game up immediately, then say, it's right there. What are you talking about? COVID is correct passage. Greetings from Berlin. Hello to Berlin. I think Trump wants to borrow your wall. I mean, you tore it down, but still. It's only been, 31 years. Or is it 21 years? I don't even know. When did I live in Europe? Yeah, 31 years. Berlin's the worst German city? I mean, if you wanted that to be funny, you would spell worst with a U. It can't be the worst German city. First of all, if you watch Family Guy, you'd realize Berlin is the happiest place on earth. I mean, so. Did you leave St. Louis Chess Club? I mean, have you been in a coma for 10 years? Is that Rip Van Winkle? I had left the St. Louis Chess Club in August of 2012. So, yes. It'll be my 8-year anniversary next month. Exactly. Ta-da. Dortmund beats Berlin is the worst. No, I used to play for Dortmund. Dortmund lost 4-0 yesterday in the Bundesliga at home. Their worst loss ever. They lost 5-1 once, but 4-0 seems worse. When I played for Dortmund, then we were, we showed them. Man, we were in the top Bundesliga. We were in the top tier. Now we're probably not. Magnus is white this time. That is correct. Field is the worst. Hamburg is the best German chess club. Do they have vegan burgers? Anybody? Am I in contact with Yasser? I mean, we have each other's email. We don't email very often. They lost 6-0 last season, but not at home. Not at home. The worst German city is Leningrad. What? Go Dortmund. That is correct. I played for Dortmund and Anderlecht. And I think Nijmegen, but I don't remember the Dutch team I played for. I thought it was Nijmegen. Maybe it wasn't. Hamburg's the only city you visited. I think I've been to Hamburg. I've definitely complained about Trump in every chess club in the country every year. That is correct. No, my Dutch G sound is good. It's the Dutch who need to work on their G sound. You got to use the Belgian G, not the Dutch G. The Belgians speak better Flemish than the Dutch do. The Dutch could learn something from that. You'll have to watch old episodes of Teen Vortal, and then we'll talk again. Hamburg has vegan steamed hams. What, from upstate New York? Have you been to every state in the U.S.? I have not. You've watched plenty of Teen Vortal in my day. Well, that's good. Look, this is an American audience. I'm not going to say Scheveningen. I'm going to say Schwenningen. That's just the way it is. If you don't like it, you can go to the Hottentotten and see if I care. Right, sweetie? And Karen agrees. Yeah, understandable. Look, when you're able to say the cat crept the krollen van de trap, then you can talk. Until then, learn how to say that. All right, so Magnus is white, Giri's black, etc. Will he play the Dutch against the Dutchman? Dutch. Will he play the Scotch? He did not. All right, they're playing the fake Berlin, confusing the Germans. D3, that is correct. I always play D6, but I always lose. So maybe I should play Bishop C5. All right, Knight C3, very unusual. Normally they play Knight D2 to C4, put pressure here. Magnus looks like he wants to go there instead. Yeah, Knight C3 is not the most common. Maybe he'll play Bishop E3, Queen D2, long castle. I think Fabi's done that. Of course I speak good Dutch. Ik ben. H3, putting it in H. This is the next game. I mean, this is the current game. This is game 2. Yeah. It's funny, yesterday on my stream, the night stream that I did, a guy wrote a long message in the chat saying, in the Ruy Lopez, why doesn't white always take on C6 and ruin the pawn structure? That's the whole point of the Ruy Lopez. Then this guy said, why is white taking on C6, giving his bishop away? So you should talk to that other guy and have a fist fight or something. I don't know. You take on C6 to weaken here, double his pawns, etc. But yeah, it doesn't give white much of an advantage, it's true. B6 is a very strange move. It's a little early for that. But I guess there's nothing terrible about it. Always play... That's right, why did birds suddenly appear? Only one person knows. Karen. Right? Might be the wrong Karen. Mm-hmm. Which cartoon character likes that song? We've discussed this.
I don't know.
Marge Simpson.
I can't keep all the characters.
Mm-hmm.
My dad just called me.
Yeah, what did he call you? Karen? Marge also likes potatoes. What are you, spelling potatoes the opposite of Dan Quayle? What's going on over here? Yester and I did commentary in St. Louis before you were born. What was the name of the guy who fixed the doorbell? Man, that was a long time ago. I know what you're talking about. Is it iced tea or iced tea? It's iced tea. Thanks for your question. Less questions, more donations. The more you donate, the more the guy you're rooting for wins. If you're rooting for Giri, you better donate a lot. All right, this is why these are the best players that ever lived. B6, H3, H6, A3. Yeah, that's some 2800 chess over there. But says iced tea. Then buy me iced tea. I prefer Perrier. Ah, that's better. They can't agree to a draw, but they can repeat. I don't think Magnus wants to draw with white in game 2. That would be my guess. Queen e2. He wants to play bishop e3 and long castle. What is Perrier? Good question. It's sparkling water, matching my personality. Both players are playing much more quickly this game than the previous game, so I guess their coaches yelled at them. Will la croix suffice? Some say the end will end in Perrier. Some say LaCroix. LaCroix is nice and will suffice. Who are the coaches? Let's see, there's Rufus, there's Doofus, and there's the triplet. The good news is they have coaches. The bad news is the Three Stooges. That's the bad news. He could take either way. Nobody knows which way he'll recapture. Probably the queen, because he played queen e2. But I wouldn't bet my life on it. The engine prefers f takes e3. That's what you normally want to do. So you have the open f file, and you control the center more with d4 and such. You stop knight d4, knight f4. Black likes to move his knight around and get to d4 usually, but Giri's not doing that. All right, so very unusual play by both sides. It's not clear which way Magnus will castle. Do they keep it a secret who the coaches are? Sometimes they do, but usually that's for World Championship matches. But yeah, I mean, they have just regular coaches they work with. I think Anish Giri works with Benjamin Bach. It's all about the Benjamins. And I think Magnus's regular coach is Peter Heine Nielsen. You agree? Mm-hmm. All right, Karen agrees.
He wants to meet me at lunch.
Yeah.
Inside somewhere.
Inside?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if I eat inside anymore. He seems a little bit too careless.
You could get food and then eat it here.
He doesn't like to. He wants to.
Yeah, I understand. Well, that's slightly not the safest. Yeah. Have you ever had 3 pawns on the same file, also known as triple pawns? Probably. Whenever I go to New York, which isn't very often, I visit the Marshall Chess Club, and Asa Hoffman's always there, and he always has a funny story. And the last time he told me a funny story, which was about, 10 years ago, he showed me a game he had quadrupled pawns, and then later in the game, he could have had quadrupled pawns again, but he decided that some other way was better. And he won that game. But yeah, you don't see quadruple pawns very often. Asa Hoffman was old before you were born. Asa Hoffman and my dad in the late 60s played blitz chess with Walter Brown, and they took all of his money. Truth hurts. Yeah, Brown wasn't very old in like 67. All right, the players are playing much faster than the previous game, so I guess their coaches did yell at them. 98, queen g3, never play f6. And then he played knight h4. Yeah, I mean, you could see they're playing like 4 times faster than they were the last game. At this point in the last game, they both had like 4 minutes left. Now they have like all their time still. All right, so Magnus has got nothing out of the opening, and Giri's fine here. Why does Magnus not castle? He's the world champion. He'll castle when he feels like it, not when you want him to. Hello, Mr. Feingold. Hello, Karen. Hi, Shivam. How are you? I prefer the Marshall Chess Club to the Marshall Chess Club. Have you ever played Long Castle Mate? Probably. Asa Hoffman is still alive? Yes. Is there a Phil Jackson of chess? You mean with the triangle offense? Man, Magnus played knife f5 and Anish Giri played f6. It's like they watch my stream and they're, something. $200 centidues. Thank you. Bishop f5. I predict e takes f5. Knight d6. Good. e4 was played. Yeah, I mean, this is really nothing for white. Also, you guys are still upset that Magnus didn't castle. You've never been so mad.
It's hard to know sometimes when to castle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is not a big deal now. The position's completely blocked.
Oh, so that's why.
Yeah, he can castle whenever he wants. He doesn't even know which way he's going to castle this game. He hasn't decided yet.
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah. When he castles, we'll know. The game where I became a GM, because that game gave me my last GM norm, was round 8 of the 2009 Spice Cup in October against Danny Wrench. And the last move of the game I played was 26 castles. And then the game ended in a draw. My castle, I moved 26. Let's see. What's the score? They drew the first game. This is the second game. This game's a lot more boring than the first game. So this position's equal, and they both have a ton of time on their clock. And that's very Giri-like position.
This is like one of my games.
Yeah, Giri's very happy now because it's really boring and he's not worse. I didn't beat Danny, we drew. How can someone coach a stronger player? That's a good question. See, you know why that's a good question, Karen? Because in other sports, like soccer, baseball, basketball, football, hockey, and every other sport, the person who's the coach of the team, they're always better than all the players, right? Also, the personal coaches of the people, like tennis, right? Mm-hmm. Like Federer's coach, Djokovic's coach, Serena Williams, they're always better than them, right? Oh, wait, that's never the case. In every sport that's ever happened ever, the coach is always worse than the player. Oh, interesting. All right, thanks for playing. How can you coach somebody better than you? Terrible. All right, when the coach is better than the players, like if you have Magic Johnson coach or Michael Jordan coach, that's no good. The only exception, now they're going to point out 50 other exceptions when I'm done. You know what the basketball exception is? Where the coach is better than the players and the team actually did well? No. Larry Bird. Larry Bird coached the Pacers. They were great. The other people like Magic Johnson and Michael Jordan coach, like they just lose every game.
Well, I mean,
horrible.
I don't think it's a bad question.
I get that question every stream.
I mean, because if they're not good enough to play at the level of the people they're coaching, then how do they have the knowledge to tell them how to improve and be better if they themselves are not that good?
Hopefully they told Giri and Carlsen to play faster, and they did play faster. Mm-hmm. The problem with trying to improve yourself is that you're you, and you don't know how to improve yourself, and somebody watching does. And now I'm going to give the greatest answer ever, and then Karen's going to be like, that's why I married that guy. That's why you get a proofreader when you write. The proofreader's not as good as you, but you need a proofreader.
Well, it's hard to see your
You can't see your own issue, just like in chess. Mm-hmm. It's hard to see what you're doing wrong. And John Nunn actually wrote about this, how grandmasters just make the same mistake over and over again because that's how they play. They're not like, let me analyze my games with a fine-tooth comb and see what my weaknesses are. That's what the coach is for. Then when the coach tells you that, you get mad and fire them. Truth hurts. one of the problems with having a coach who's good is the coach thinks they're better than the player, and they tell the player to do stuff that's wrong because they want to do it. A good example is Kasparov and Carlsen. Kasparov used to work with Carlsen, and Carlsen's like, all right, that's enough of you. Because he's trying to tell Carlsen to do things differently because it's the way Kasparov would have done them. That's not, you want to have people do things better, not the way you do them. This is the problem with a lot of coaches today for club players, is if you're a club player like Karen, and you have a coach, and the coach says you must play this opening, you have to get a new coach. If the coach is like, you have to play the Queen's Gambit, accept it when you're black. You can't do anything else. That's what the coach wants to play, not what you want to play. You play what you want to play, then the coach helps you. So I'm not telling my student opening to play. They might hate that opening.
That's why I always liked Dave Best as coach, even though he has some weaknesses as a coach. He did understand that you didn't try to force them into openings and styles.
Yeah, your job as a coach when you're coaching a super GM is to make them comfortable, make them happy, get them positions they like, and work with them on their game where they're improving their game, not changing their game to the way you like it. Terrible. I mean, if I'm working with Giri and Giri wants to play F6, he's going to play F6. He'll never be the world champion, but, he wants to play F6.
Don't a lot of the modern day chess coaches research lines and look for novels?
They just do a lot. Yeah, they just do a lot of opening analysis. Right. That's right. Yeah. See, like, let's say Magnus wants to take a nap, but he wants to refute the Najdorf. Right? Now, is he going to do it in his sleep? Maybe. Or he could get 2,700 coaches with 12 laptops and 10 engines, take a nap, wake up, and there's the refutation of the Najdorf. And it costs him, if he was in Philadelphia, how much would it cost him? $50. Yeah. And he would say, thanks. Here's the $50. Let's see, I bent my Wookiee. Where'd it go? All right, now in this game, it's a trade fest and everyone's invited. So he's weakening his pawn so he can trade more. Yay, everything's traded. Giri's happy. Giri doesn't even care if he's worse as long as he trades everything. Yeah. All right. So obviously black is worse technically because he has an isolated e-pawn. And Magnus just played knight b1 because Magnus wants to put his knight on c4, f3 and put pressure on this pawn. Magnus is reconnoitering his knight here. Because with the knight on c3, it's hard to attack this pawn. It takes a long time. It's 2 diagonal squares away. All right, so he's going to try to do that, and trying is the first step to failure. So black is worse because instead of being equal and playing an equal kind of game, Giri's like trade. Yay, I drew. That's the way Giri plays. And unfortunately, by trading everything, he was left with this isolated pawn. He's like, I'll still draw. It's okay. And probably he's annoyed by this move because that's a pretty good idea. Yeah. In Philadelphia, my brother just said it's worth $50. That's right. You know what movie that is? Trading Places. Did you see it?
A lot when it came out.
Yeah. When Dan Aykroyd is having issues because they kicked him out, he goes to the pawn shop, and Bo Diddley is the pawn shop guy somehow. And he wants to sell his watch that's worth like 10 grand. And the guy says, this watch is so hot, it's smoking. And Dan Aykroyd says, are you insinuating this watch is stolen? And he says, I'll give you $50 for it. $50. Then he goes into a long spiel about how it's worth thousands of dollars. And he says, do you have a receipt? The best part was he told Bill Diddley that the watch kept time simultaneously. He named like all these cities all over the world. And the last one was Gstaad. So that was good because you got to keep time there if you're going skiing or something. All right. He's Giri. He can draw. Giri can draw. Magnus, draw. Can you become a GM without winning a game? Just like the world chess champion has to win at least one game of chess. To be the greatest chef of all time, you have to make at least one edible meal. What's that from? Futurama. Just like the world has to win at least one game of chess. That's although he didn't see Giri, so. You know who said that, right? Helmut Sparkle, the greatest chef ever. And then Bender made a meal and it killed him. The guy died.
I don't know those characters.
Well, he was only on one episode. He taught Bender how to cook. Bender cooked. He ate Bender's food and he died. So that's how good he did. What a good episode. 40% Iron Chef. I'm 40% Iron Chef. Is there any series I should watch? All of them. My brother found the exact quote. It tells the time simultaneously. Monte Carlo, Beverly Hills, London, Paris, Rome, and Stade. That's right. Couldn't she win the world championship in Armageddon with a draw? I don't know if they have Armageddon, I guess. That's right. When they asked Leela, how does Soylent Green taste? She said it varies from person to person. That's a good answer. If war were declared. So Fry and Bender sign up for the army because then they can go to 7-Eleven and get like a discount. So they do. They sign up. And then the guy says, okay, you can go unless war were declared. Then some siren goes off. He says, what's that siren? And he says, war were declared. Then they have to go in there. Which my brother just quoted. Do I like Frasier? Frasier is the smartest show on television. And then what's that from? Family Guy? That is from Family Guy. Yeah. So on Family Guy, here, Brian's trying to make a gentleman out of Peter because Peter's a little crass. So he puts two TVs. One has Ricky Lake and one has Frasier. If he looks at Ricky Lake, he gets electroshocked. He has to just watch Frasier. So Frasier says, your wife is so large or is so corpulent. When she sits around the brilliantly appointed Tuscan villa, she sits around the villa. And then he says, this is the smartest show on TV. And then on the other TV with Ricky Lake, he goes, yo, Ricky, that's my wife. She shouldn't be having no, and then a body part that a woman shouldn't have. And then he turns because he has to watch that. Then he gets electroshock. Anyway, a good show. Okay, after knight b1, Giri has decided not to move, and the game is over. Okay, Christopher Yu is in the chat, not in my chat, in the chess.com chat. He says, Magnus is really good at winning these positions where there's the e5 weakness, even though it's dry. He would definitely beat most 2500 GMs here, but Giri will be tough. Man, you just skipped over the 2600 GMs. Let's see, dangerous territory, drawish, etc. All right, good analysis. Not too good, but, pretty good. See you, Christopher. Me, that's correct. When will YouTube comments come with audience? What? English? The game is over? No. Let's see. Hans Niemann said, hi, Levy and Shiyu. Chess Weebs is talking. Christopher Yu's talking, etc. And Hans Niemann. Their analysis is basically just talking to each other and saying hi. That's their analysis. Christopher Yu, Chess Weebs, Hans Niemann. All right. So Giri thought forever and played the anti-positional b5. Okay, that was ignored by Magnus, who played knight d2. We're all hoping for b takes a4, because that's a funny pawn structure. And it could happen. He didn't do it. Okay, he prevented knight f3 by playing rook g3. And the engine likes white, because b5 created some more weaknesses. Right. So this is like 900% Magnus is going to win this game. Or wait a minute, hold on. 909%. Yeah. B5 is a little suspicious. The important thing is Giri thought forever. That's the important thing. All right, so I think Magnus is going to win this game. I wouldn't have said that 5 moves ago or 10 moves ago or 2 minutes ago. Time for a train. Cy Bradbury keeps giving 100 centidues. Yeah. Now, Giri, of course, wants to trade all the pawns off and then sacrifice his knight for the remaining pawn or two. Rook and knight versus rook is a draw. I don't see that happening. I don't think we can get rid of all of White's pawns. Probably can get rid of 2 of them, maybe 3 of them, but not 5 of them. So that's Giri's only hope is rook and knight versus rook is a draw. If he gets rook and knight versus rook and he has 10 seconds left, he might lose anyway. All right, so Giri's pawn structure is very suspicious. He's just trying to trade all the pawns off. So he played b5, he takes. He'll play c5, c4. He'll just keep trying to take everything. 4 pawns each, all on the same side. The problem is all of his pawns are weak. So if Giri can get all those pawns, even by sacrificing his knight, he'll draw the game. How does Magnus still have 12 minutes? I think his coaches said, don't play slow like you did last game. And he said, all right. Chess Weave says, pain incoming for Giri. This will be tough. And the Gawking Rebel said 80% draw. And somebody else said Giri is tweeting between games, etc. Good chat. I keep getting asked if I'll be watching Hamilton today. I don't know what that is, so I can't answer it. Do you have a $10 bill? Here, let me see. All right. I'm watching Hamilton. See? On all the bills we talked about yesterday, the 1, the 2, the 5, the 10, the 20, the 50, and the 100, you got all that? Which 2 people were not president?
Let's see. Grant.
No, he was president.
Oh, was he president? Hamilton.
Right?
Which president? I don't even remember Grant. Let's see. Lincoln was president. Washington was president. Oh, Ben Franklin was president.
What did Ben Franklin do in chess that I didn't do?
He's in the Hall of Fame.
He's in the U.S. Chess Hall of Fame. Yeah. Benjamin Franklin's in the U.S. Chess Hall of Fame, and I'm not. Exactly.
I forget that Grant was the president. I need to review all the presidents.
That's correct. Yeah. Play a naked woman. That was, what's his name? Salvador Dali? No. Duchamp. Marcel Duchamp. No, he's not in the Hall of Fame for non-chess related reasons. He's in the Chess Hall of Fame for chess. Now, if he wasn't a famous person, then you'd be right. So I guess that's what you meant. But yeah. Yeah, probably because of the powdered wigs. I should have, yeah. All right, so Magnus is thinking forever, ever, because he doesn't want to trade all these pawns off. He knows rook and knight versus rook is a draw. That's a much easier draw for the defending side than rook and bishop versus rook. In the movie Trading Places, when they go to the Heritage Club, it says, with liberty and justice for all, right? Then what does it say under that? Members only. All right, the engine wants to play knight b3 or king b2. Those seem very reasonable. He played knight f1. That was the third engine move, hoping to capture the rook. And if the rook moves away, he wants to play knight e3 and defend everything. Who's the strongest famous chess player that didn't get famous because of chess? I have a question. What? I don't know, probably Philidor is the answer you want. Is that the answer he wants? Philidor? All right, so Giri didn't want to allow knight e3, so he played this. King d1, triangle king e2. Might play rook f2 now. It's a strong chess player. I don't think Bill Gates is a strong chess player.
Probably one of those mathematicians.
I mean, Philidor was a famous, pianist, composer. Woody Harrelson's not a strong chess player. The strongest chess players who were celebrities in other games that I know of, until somebody tells me something else, are Humphrey Bogart and Howard Stern. Those guys were both reasonable at chess. Howard Stern still is, due to the fact that he's still alive. Other celebrities who play chess, which will obviously be on my show, not as good. But if I play Howard Stern, I better watch it. Bogart, I think I could take now. Yeah, I think I can beat Bogart because he's not alive. Exactly. What is Sting's rating? Well, I don't know what his rating is since he doesn't have one, but based on his game with Kasparov, it's not great. Napoleon was good? No, Napoleon wasn't good at chess. Terrible. Dan Smith is a good chess player. Dan Smith is about 2,100. I don't know who's better at chess, Dan Smith or Fedor Holtz. They're about the same. Stern's about 1,750. Dan Smith is, I wouldn't call him a celebrity. He's a poker player. It's not, a lot of poker players are 2,000 at chess. That's sort of common. Let's see. India's national cricket team. What? Who? What? Einstein? I don't think he was good at chess. Dylon plays and Willie Nelsoni. Never heard of Willie Nelsoni. Wonder if he knows Willie Nelson. Efren Reyes is pretty good at chess. I didn't know that. For $1 trillion, I could ask Karen who Efren Reyes is. That would be a pretty safe $1 trillion on my part, right? Efren Reyes. He's a pool player. Very good pool player, from 30 years ago. What about Putin? When you're blue and you don't know who to go to or where to go to, Putin on the Ritz. All right, so here, knight d2, rook b7. All right, king f3. White doesn't want to take this and have the worst pawn structure ever. He wants black to trade, and then black has the worst pawn structure ever. So it's a game of cat and mouse. Yeah, it's a very poor position for black because his pawns are so weak. Does Negreanu play chess? He does, but he only plays very slow chess. Like, you make a move every 3 days. He doesn't play blitz or bullet or... Doesn't even play slow chess, I don't think. He's 1,300 on a good day, and it's usually not a good day for him. Kubrick wasn't that bad at chess. Peter Thiel was a good chess player before he stopped playing. No, Stern has played live rated chess. 600 viewers a do. 1,700 is about correct. Schwarzenegger's not very good at chess. No, Helmuth doesn't play chess. He's just tall. Yeah, you can't... This is what I was complaining about in the first game, is you can't have, 1 minute to 8, which is what's happening here. So basically, Carlsen listened to his people, and Giri didn't. Giri's position was very difficult, so he thought a long time to try to equalize, but he basically traded too much when he played g6, weakening his f-pawn. He just kept trading all the pawns until he's left with a weak e-pawn. Then he did it again, because he's Giri. He kept trading and having more weak pawns, but he figures if he trades everything, it'll be a draw. So he's trying, and he's failing miserably. The lesson is never try. Who's my favorite poker player? Probably Tom Dwan. Good old Tom Dwan. I also like, I want to say that tall guy, but they're all tall. Eric Seidel, I like a lot. All right, what are they saying in the other chat? Blah, 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 blah. Oh, Carlsen will be very accurate. I want rapport. He's just as much fun as Dubov. All right. Were any presidents good at chess? No. Competitive checkers? No. I've dealt poker for Eric Seidel. Was he tall? Who's taller, Seidel or Helmuth? I think Helmuth's taller. Also, Huckseed is tall. Also, what's his name? There's a guy who's about 1650 USCF. Alan Cunningham. He's also tall. Alan Cunningham played in the National Open one year when I was there. I think he was going back and forth from the World Series of Poker to the National Open. Walter Brown used to do that too. Walter Brown wasn't a bad poker player. R.I.P. Yeah, backgammon was one of Seidel's games. Yeah. Tallest GM ever? Either Malikov or Donner, I guess. Could be a Serbian GM also. I don't know. I never saw Donner. He was just really tall. All right, let's see. Rook G1. He's giving it away. Yeah, he just wants to somehow get these pawns. He doesn't care what it costs him. He'll give everything away, even his rook. Well, not his rook. He has to play rook takes, and then rook c1. So Giri's playing actively, but he has an issue with his clock, and he has a bad position. However, if he can trade all the pawns off and get rook and knight versus rook, even with his limited amount of time left, he should be able to draw. Helmuth is an inch taller than Huck. Yeah, those guys are tall. All right, rook c1. If Giri loses all of his pawns, he won't have any weak pawns left. $10. Anton Pagushin says, thanks for the Queen's Gambit video. You probably just like the thumbnail, that's all. That's right, Giri's protecting his king, so if rook takes king, he loses his rook. So rook d5 is possible, pinning the knight with e5 idea. Rook takes is possible. Knight takes is possible. They're all possible. Carlsen has tons of time to find the right move. Giri just has to play very quickly. Who's the weakest GM? I don't know. Bolinas, maybe? Yeah, Giri's really suffering this game. Well, he didn't say the GM was weak. He just said the weakest. The engine lines mainly just go into drawn rook and pawn endgames, so that's good for Giri. I mean, he doesn't want to trade everything off and be a pawn up in a rook ending. Then it's probably a draw. How's it looking? You know, it's looking. Rouse's was a reasonable GM. Just because he cheated for years doesn't mean he wasn't a good GM. I was at a Pistons game before you guys were born, and Chuck Nevitt was getting 10-day contracts. He was only playing because he was 7'5". He was always like the last 10 seconds of the game if the Pistons were up or down by 50. But anyway, before the game they were practicing, and Chuck Nevitt was just nailing threes. I mean, he hit like 9 in a row when I was watching. And I was like, man, those guys are good when nobody's defending them. Brogdon on weaker than Ali Reza. Yeah. Kubrick was 2,400. No, Kubrick was not 2,400. Everybody who's a famous person, they always estimate their chess strength about 1,000 points better than it actually is. Everybody's like, Howard Lederer was a chess master. He was 1,900 on a good day, and it usually wasn't a good day. Now, somebody who is good at chess, who's a famous poker player, is Dan Harrington. Dan Harrington's USCF rating was over 2,300. Dan Harrington was also a very good backgammon player. Yeah, and very good investor. Yeah, go Dan Harrington. Taco Falls pretty tall. All right, so they made a million moves in a row. They played knight c4, knight c4, dc4, rook c2. This is all the engine moves. Now, the engine wanted to check here, but I don't understand, and then make the king go up. That can't be right that white's king is worse on f4 than f3, so the engine's doing drugs or something. Yeah, that's obviously a better move. Let's see, does it care where the king goes? Not really. I mean, this has to be a draw. I don't like this move. I mean, put the rook behind the pawn makes sense. He went here because he wants to actually push his own pawn. Not really a big fan of that move, but all right. I guess it's 50-50 whether he'll win or draw. The fact that Giri only has a minute left helps him out somewhat. Okay, white wants to queen that pawn. It's a good idea. So what white wants to do here is play rook a8 and push his pawn to the 7th rank. And then with his passed e pawn, he's winning. And I don't think black can prevent that plan. So that means that black is losing. And rook d1 was just a rook c1 was a blunder. He should have played rook here, so the rook couldn't do this. Normally, when white's rook is here and black's rook is here, you're pretty happy. But now with this passed pawn, then a7 is winning. So rook c1 is just a blunder. Yeah, he had to play rook a4, and then it was probably a draw. Because then white can't get his rook off of the 5th rank, and he can't push his pawn. But now, if he plays rook here and pawn here, he's winning because he has this pawn. That's the winning pawn. You push that pawn until you can check or play this check. So, very poor move from Giri. Very nice find from Magnus that this wins. Yeah, now he's going to win. Yeah, I think I just push this pawn and I win. The engine at death 26 just thinks white's up 1.6. But I think white's winning here because of his passed e pawn. I don't see how black can hold this. He could never take the pawn on the a file. He can't push his own pawn. I mean, he's just going to lose. And white just plays e5, e6, e7, and when black moves his king over, he plays a7 before the king takes the pawn. So I don't see what the problem is. Yeah, the engine is finally understanding, after seeing far enough ahead, that white's going to be winning. Obviously, you know, Cess is going to see much further than stockfish with no with nothing going on. But yeah, this should just be winning for white. Why do 2600 players not improve their endgame play? Who says they don't improve their endgame play? Problem is, when you're playing chess, the most likely time that you have no time on your clock is the endgame. And when you have no time on your clock, then you play badly. So, and dozens of years ago, when they had adjournments and the time controls weren't in sudden death, played the endgame better because they could think 5 minutes a move, and the games were adjourned. So, all right. Magnus wants to take this pawn for this pawn, and then get the loose center position, and then Giri's going to resign. Yeah. Yeah, so Giri's going to lose. Every move wins here. King d6, e6, rook a8. Every move wins. He'll play e6. And then if he takes, he'll attack the pawn, and then he queens. So he'll definitely play e6, and then the game's going to be over. The engine moving up and down, you can ignore that. There's no tactics. That's just the engine being silly. Yeah, Giri should have played rook a4 and the rook and pawn ending, not rook c1. So this was the key position here. I think after rook a4, if both sides play perfectly, it's a draw. And after here, I think he's just losing. I think this winning plan just wins for white pretty handily. Yeah, white got to move his pawn up the board. Yep, poor Giri. So if Magnus wins the next game, the match is over for today. He'll win 2.5/2. And it's not, Giri doesn't really know how to go all out to win. So he just might draw the next two games. I mean, Giri knows if he draws with white the next game, he's going to have black in the last round against Magnus, have to win. The next game's sort of a must-win. But must-win and Giri don't go well together. And every move wins. All king moves win. Doesn't matter what he does. Yay! Rampage 7250 subbed. Yeah, Giri really suffered this game. He equalized, and then he tried to trade everything off to draw, but he had weak pawns. And then it looked like he was probably going to draw anyway by trading all the pawns off, but then he played rook c1. Yeah, it's unusual that white wants to put his rook in front of the a-pawn. Usually he wants your rook on the side. But with the passed e-pawn, he wanted to put his rook in front of the a-pawn so he can push the a-pawn. If the rook's on the side, you can't push the a-pawn. So that was confusing the audience. Subutai 82 subscribed. Yay. Go Giri, push that pawn. Do-si-do. King just walks to the G file and walks down the board, and that's it. Resignation will happen eventually. He won't play till mate. And even the weak engine is announcing mate. Truth hurts. The strong engine's announced mate a long time ago. Put it in H. Also in F. All right, and Anish resigned. Magnus is up 1.5. Karen will soon change the score. And, I mean, really annoying match game for Giri. He was equalized, but then he was slightly worse and clearly worse and just trying to draw the whole game. It was just no fun. So Magnus could have won the first game, but did not. He won this game, which maybe he shouldn't have. And now he's taken a commanding 1.5 lead in the very short match. It's not even a short match. It's a Carlsen Giri match. All right, so Magnus is ahead. If he wins this game, then it's over for today. It ain't over till it's over?
I was thinking of the Johnny Mathis, Denise Williams song.
Who?
Johnny Mathis, Denise Williams.
What song is it?
Duet. It's over.
Do I know that song?
I don't know.
Isn't Johnny Mathis 50 years older than Denise Williams?
I don't even know if anyone of them are alive.
They're both alive, right?
I don't know.
All right. Hey Siri, how old is Johnny Mathis? Gotta be in his 80s.
Johnny Mathis is 84 years old.
He's 84, Johnny Mathis. Yeah.
You know that song?
What song?
Frank and I were singing as a
What
child.
is it?
It's over.
We'll sing some of it.
It's hard to sing. And she's got a really high voice.
Who?
It's over. The keys are gone.
Mm-mm.
That's the use of trying to
Mm-mm. What's better? You spelled Ann Arbor the British way. What's better? There's not really one's better. They're just different. All right. What modern chess player are you a fan of most? Karen. All right, time for another train. Although I don't think it is time for another train.
They're not an elitist.
That's right. Atlanta's a hellhole. Atlanta's great.
What?
Should I ban them?
No, but it's not my favorite city.
It's not?
No,
Second?
no.
What's wrong with Atlanta? It's got Roswell. It's got me.
It's
got Cameron?
Cities that are spread out, no, suburban. I love
Mm-hmm.
Philadelphia. Now that's a city.
Phil Hellmuth rants are pretty funny. You are not in Atlanta. That is correct. But I am in the chess club and Scholastic Center of Atlanta. It's Ovi. Chess with Ovi. So go move to Atlanta if it's so great. Man, harsh. Atlanta's the best, except for Roswell. Ovi, how am I? I'm pretty good. That's right, WSK. CNN office. Yay, go CNN office. Alright, it's too boring waiting, so we'll have to play some 1-minute chess or something. The waiting is the hardest part. Nepomniachtchi didn't make it? Good guess. It's the Scandi. He's always attacking everything. What did I ever do to him? No, 76 moves wasn't enough.
Oh,
I'm an old man, tired. In that game, I probably should have won. Hmm?
you.
Yeah, I don't know. A lot of guys are playing 80 moves against me, and then some. I played 83.9, and he played 80. I'm so tired from that game. I need a nap. They still haven't started? I thought I missed, a little bit. All right, we missed nothing. Let's see. You didn't lose. Good, good. I'm amazing. That's correct. Tell the story of that day. Chess with Ovi. I grew up on Long Island. Magnus was playing the Scandi. Trump says pandemic will go away. You had knight takes h3. Say, I don't know which chat makes the least sense. I guess they're all tied. Good chat as per usual. That's right, Hobo Dog. And so on. Are these people getting louder or dumber? Dumber, sir.
What was that?
Nothing. It was the Simpsons quote. I don't know if I should order food because here's why. If Magnus wins, the match is over. Although I do want to do some YouTube work, so maybe. I was talking to Karen. Karen's not paying attention. She's busy.
Which part? I can go back.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel at home in this chat. I'm one of your top 1,000 biggest fan. Yay! I'll donate $10 if you order Indian food. Probably not going to order Indian food. Let's see. And all my emails are very important, except for one thing. Have you seen the movie Night Moves with Christopher Lambert? I might have seen that. I've seen bits of it if I haven't seen it. but I might have seen it. Let's see. I think I have a $10 off coupon if you don't order Indian food. Let's see. I think that's what it is. How come the game hasn't started yet? Like, even I'm getting confused. Never in all my years.
Let me double check. Over here.
Exactly. Yay. They made moves. It begins. Do British people say sack the quality or exchange the quality? I think British people just say blood pudding and yeah. All right, so Giri has the white pieces. They're playing the same opening, except he played knight c3 instead of knight, here or something. All right, it's a regular kind of semi-Slav. It's used to be the Queen's Gambit. Now it's a semi-Slav. So it's not a Queen's Gambit because White's bishop didn't go to f4 or to g5. Okay, they're playing one of the main lines. Yeah, this is more of a Giri type position. It's equal, but Giri can just do nothing and draw the game. He doesn't have to, do anything crazy. So Giri's very happy now. He has no advantage, but he's, doesn't have to do anything to maintain his position. Yeah, he's trading everything. He's never been so happy. Yeah, Giri, this is a Giri kind of position. The thing is, Giri's not good when he's behind in a match because he can't ever play for a win with either color. But when he's ahead in a match, then he draws every game and wins the match. So he's behind against Carlsen and he has white and he can't play for a win and he won't win with black, so that's bad. He's a good front runner, but not good at catching up. But this is his kind of position. He doesn't have to do anything to maintain his advantage or his equality. He can just make random legal moves. And that's what he's good at. You gotta do what you're good at. Blood pudding is disgusting, also delicious. That's right. Both players are playing for a draw. That is correct. Man, the truth hurts. See, this is why players like Fischer, Kasparov, and Morphy were better, because they would just tear their opponents limb from limb. And Magnus likes to, draw every game and win by half a point. I was like, Magnus, how do you win by half a point in a match? And he said it's Norwegian math. I was like, all right. Isn't it good, Norwegian math? Yeah, he's really giving Giri the Norwegian wood this match. You know what I mean? Exactly. Let's see. Chess with Ovi. No, I'll never do any of that. Would Dubois versus Giri be all draws or all wins? It would be a little of each. Well, they played faster and faster every game. The first game, they both played too slowly. The second game was better, and this is crazy. Rob moved 17, and they both have more time than they started with. So that's what I expect to see. Faster equals better. That is correct. All right, Giri's like, we haven't traded enough pieces. Knight F3, trade more pieces. The more pieces that are traded, the bigger White's advantage is, but because Black doesn't have any active play and just has an isolated pawn. But the problem is it's harder to win when there's no pieces. But yeah, Giri doesn't want to be in a position where he has to do anything of note. He just wants to play solid, boring legal moves and be slightly better and have no losing chances. Giri would rather draw 1,000 games than win one or something. Fischer is ruthlessly dead. Yeah, but give him a C, Pam. Fischer. Knight takes F3. All three ways are good. The engine actually takes with the G pawn. The least likely way that Giri will play. If Giri takes with the G pawn, I'll eat my hat. Luckily, I don't have a hat. If I did have a hat, I would turn it backwards so that Tony, hey Tony, he would enjoy that. They remembered it was Tony. I already talked about that. Like, oh, it was Tony. Yeah, he's not taking away the G pawn. All right. Well, this is about 300% a draw. Nobody can do anything, so both sides are happy. Giri's like, I'll try to win the last game with Black. Do you like Tony G? I mean, if I knew him as a person, I probably wouldn't like him, but I like watching him play poker because he's fun. I guess watching Tony G beat Phil Hellmuth is about the most fun thing you could watch. Why doesn't Anish try to win? I don't know. Anish's chess isn't made for winning. His chess is made for drawing a lot of games and hoping his opponent goes overboard trying to beat him. And sometimes they do. Like play Nepomniachtchi. Nepomniachtchi might go overboard. It's very Petrosian-like. Yeah, Magnus, I think, plays more like Karpov than Petrosian, and Giri plays more like Petrosian. So it's just like, it's a boring fast, and Magnus tries to win a little harder than Giri does. Maybe a lot harder. Did Petrosian draw a lot? Yes. See, the old school way of thinking, which is what Yasser's saying now, which is not right, is White's better here because Black has an isolated pawn. But White's not better here because Black has a great knight and C3 is weak and White's knight can't go anywhere and Magnus isn't going to hang his D pawn. This position is just equal. There's no advantage here to White. And I take White in these positions all the time because I play Queen's Gambit and D4 and stuff. And I win when my opponent's rated 2,000 and they blunder and I win in 90 moves. When my opponent has the same rating as me or similar, the games are just draws. Carlsen's not going to lose this position. And we got pressure on F2. We got C3. There's no way that Giri's ever going to win. Giri's not going to lose either. They could agree to a draw now, except they're not allowed to. Always retreat. Setting up for the next game. Yeah, but White's not better here. The old way of thinking, before 1990 was White's better here, but that's the dynamic, potential that Black has based on lots of Kasparov games where he's getting really active pieces and not caring about his pawn structure as much. Which world champion has the lowest draw percentage? I don't know. Steinitz? Probably Steinitz. Yeah, no, Sess knows what's right. Yeah. Negreanu's a vegan, so he's got something going for him. Not sure what else he has going for him. I have a very high opinion of Steinitz. Not really. No. Negreanu likes Rake. Somebody has to like it. Negs with a Z. Yeah. Go D-Negs. Do you play variants? I do not. What? We're 2000 and late? We can't talk about it? What was the idea behind Queen D1? There's several ideas. One is he wants to defend his rooks on the C file. One is he wants to play knight to F3 and then possibly Queen D4 or take on D5. The other is he wants to play knight E2 and knight F4. So his queen wants to get lined up with the D pawn. The other is you might want to trade all the rooks and play rook C8, rook C1. The fewer pieces that are on the board, the more accentuated the weakness on D5 is because black doesn't have any counterplay. Like queen takes F2 check. Let's see, Atomic subscribed. Only 2 months. That is pretty suspicious. Yeah, and also he does set up for the next game. That's true. You gotta like all of that. I mean, at some point, black was going to play queen a3, so we're going to have to play queen d1. Otherwise, they're going to lose a rook or lose the c file. So queen d1 made sense. Also, always retreat. All right, now we're going to see if Anish tempts fate and plays f3, breaking a very important rule. You gonna have one of my rolls?
Oh, did you order food?
I did.
Oh. I didn't know that.
Yeah, you could go get fries because you could have fries
There
with
was
it.
just a noise at the door. It might be food.
That was the mail.
I thought it was the mail.
It is. Yeah, there's no noise when they deliver food, and I ordered the food 10 minutes ago.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, that was definitely mail. You're quite quiet for me. Nobody can confirm or deny whether it's quiet for you. They'd have to go into your house, you know, it's quarantine and stuff. I don't know. Etc.
I mean, you could turn it up slightly.
It's already been turned up.
Oh.
Nah, when one person complains, they're just trolling. Do I know Joe Stapleton? Yes, and I know his mother. You know who his mother is?
Who?
Joe Stapleton.
Mm-mm.
Joe Mama. Yeah, I know who he is. We haven't met. Volume perfect. That is correct. Yeah, if you guys don't spell quiet correctly, then, you know, it's not good. I can confirm, I can't confirm that. Good, good. Yeah. Is the chess club opening in 2020? If it opens, we'll let you know. Volume no good. Terrible. The stream is a little quiet. Quite so. You are very, very quiet. Yeah, maybe I should play quoits. It's been very quiet on the stream when I watch on my phone.
Mm-hmm.
I have a volume button on my TV though. And so forth. Wait, my Roomba is gone. Now it's better. And so forth. Are you hosting any tournaments online? If we do, we'll let you know.
Not rated.
Yeah, they won't be rated.
There are too many cheaters.
That's right. It's the only time in life other than the train when there's more than 100% of something. So when people play in our tournament, more than 100% of them are cheating. All right. Is that loud enough for you now? Exactly. Ridiculous. Okay, queen e2 defends f2. and therefore you don't get mated. Rook d8 does nothing, and it's a draw. Exactly. My freaking ears. All right, it's the boring world of Niels Bohr again. This is like the game Giri. Most of the fun is laughing at the cheaters. Put it in H. What's the donation level needed for an ASMR stream? You don't have to donate anything. You just go to an ASMR stream. This is a chess stream. Thanks for asking. Let's see. Giri rhymes with theory, except for one thing. Eh? What? What?
Everybody has a price.
Yeah. Is that loud enough for you? Are you guys happy now?
Hey, that hurts.
What?
That hurts my ears.
That hurts your ears, and not even because of the computer, just like me, like far from
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
Come on.
That guy said louder in all caps.
He's-
What's worse, if I talk in the microphone like that, or if you got COVID? What would be worse? What do you think?
Well,
Karen doesn't know. That guy said, what? My ears are pregnant now. Please stop. My parents are sleeping. They're not sleeping anymore. My roommate just woke up. No, my favorite was the first time I did that a couple of years ago, and the guy said his cat ran across the room and destroyed their house.
oh.
And then the guy said, my wife said, what is that? And I said, chess. Also a good answer. All right. You knew if you complained about the volume that was going to happen. So, all right, rook c2, double up on the bubble up.
They're complaining. They're just trying to be helpful.
Oh, yeah. My cat just jumped. Magnus heard you from Norway. I'm trying to sleep. There's a Simpsons episode where they're in the movie theater and it's about to start. So they're like Dolby, whatever, does that. And it's so loud, one guy's head explodes and the bulbs are popping in the theater. And Grandpa Simpson says, turn it up, because he can't hear. Corona's scared. I just cured that guy's corona. He had it, but it left his body because I scared him so much. Let's see, 44 for Ben, 24 for Chess 24. What? The jet airliners are asking if I can do what? Jet airliner asking if you can keep it down. That's right. Sound was muted and I still hear you. That's like Karen over here. All right. Can you play the game from start to finish? It's too boring. Wait, this is an ASMR. Was that loud enough or should I turn it up? I can speak louder if you want. All right. So they played this kind of Queen's Gambit, semi-Slav, kind of, trade everything. Trade. And this is the position. Rook c1 was played. Rook c8. And it's just been completely equal the whole game. Giri found a way to trade rooks. That's good. He likes to trade everything. It's weird when both sides are playing for a draw. It's very strange. It's like, well, how can the game not be a draw? What's my favorite move of this game? Draw. Chet is good as always. Right. Adam Wallace said the first time I ever screamed was the greatest moment in internet history. Some people didn't like it. I'm never watching this stream again. Aw. I'll miss those people. Doctor Strange. Come on, Gear. Come on, Magnus. You played Rook C8. You didn't play Rook C8 to not play Rook takes C1. Come on. Why isn't Giri playing more sharp? He can't. He just doesn't know how to do it. That's right. After their eyes popped out of their head, they couldn't watch anymore. Was that Futurama? I'm not sure if it was. Where they make fun of Twilight Zone, and the guy is reading, and then his glasses break and he can't read. He's like, oh, wait a minute, I can still read the large print books. And then like his eyes fall out and his head falls off. I think that was Futurama. And so on. Nothing's happening, nothing's happening, nothing's happening. See, the problem is if White's queen starts running around in here, then after knight e4 threatening this, you better watch it. And, you know, careful. That's why it's all zeros. And I think to myself, what a wonderful position. I see bishops getting traded, knights and rooks too. If I want to, I can make the board blue. And I think to myself, what a wonderful position. I see arrows to the right, arrows to the left. That song I'm singing, I'm pretty deft. And I think to myself, what a wonderful position. This is what is going through Magnus and Anish's head right now, is me singing this song while they're playing. All right. Anish made the most active move he's ever made in his life. He'll have to go back here soon and defend. Yeah. Fortunately, I could read Braille. Hands fall off. That's right. It's a mouse slip. He moved too far. I got a movie for you. A fridge too far. Should draws be illegal and immoral? The engine says every move is all zeros. B5, knight e4, knight f5, Papa John's. You'll have to do commentary on the last game because I'll be eating. Karen's ready. You can go to prison for drawing. Then you could see Silence of the Lambs where he was drawing in prison. How old's Anthony Hopkins? 300? I'm going to say 81. What do you got?
I'd say the 80s.
Hey, Siri. How old is Anthony Hopkins?
Anthony Hopkins is 82 years old.
Well, he went to old school. 82. He got me good. Thought he was 81. The Washington Redskins said they're actually considering changing the name this time because people get mad at them. You think the Atlanta Braves will change, or they're still going to go do this tomahawk nonsense? Nobody's complaining in Atlanta, just the Washington Redskins. Almost as old as Johnny Mathis. That is correct. Series too quiet. Rawr! Exactly. So this game is going to be a draw, and in the final game, both players will still both be playing for a draw, even though it's a must-win for Giri. Now, I asked Giri, why are you playing for a draw in a must-win situation? And he had a good excuse. You know what it was? His coach is Wesley So. Oh, snap. Got Wesley good there. Who plays for a draw more? Giri when he needs to win or Wesley when he needs to win? Man. I actually said it today. I said Magnus is going to win game 1 or 2, and then he's going to, all the games will be draws. I said that like during today. The stream froze in mid-sentence. No. What happens if they draw all the games? That won't be easy since Magnus already won one. U.S. Chess is rating me. God damn. U.S. Chess, you've never rated me. U.S. Chess has never had 12 people. Good job. Probably it's Chris Bird, right? Yeah. Is he free as a bird now? He can leave? Go U.S. Chess. You guys are the best. Yeah, I'm not sure at what. I mean, good job. Let's see. See, we upped our affiliate, and now they're rating me. See, that's the quid pro quo, right? Yeah. See, our affiliate was about to expire soon, and we renewed, and now they rated me. Yay! It's U.S. Chess. Anthony Hopkins has always been old. That's correct. Hey, U.S. Chess. Is it Chris Bird? Who is it? Let's see. You said the word peeps, and you have a smiley face. Sounds like Chris Bird. Yeah, okay, it is Chris. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I have a funny Chris Bird story.
Yeah.
Chris Bird was in Vegas, and Chris Bird used to live in Vegas, but now he lives in Boston, obviously. Although, Chris, did you move to the USCF office? No, you wouldn't do that. You got to still be in Boston. There's no way. But anyway, so Chris Bird flies probably from Boston to Vegas, but nobody knows. Only Chris knows. And Chris has a British accent for obvious reasons. You know what they are?
No.
He's British. Okay. So he's in Vegas. He gets in the cab. He tells the cab driver where to go with his British accent. So the cab driver takes him on a 3-hour tour, And then Chris Bird says, well, this is the way you should have gone. This is how much it will cost. This is what I'm giving you. If you have a complaint about it, I'm going to tell, the authorities. And the guy didn't say anything. But he got a nice tour of Vegas. So, yeah. See, that wasn't a bad story. There were like no hookers in that story or nothing. Yeah. All right. Damn cab driver. We were in a taxi in Rome, and we were complaining to the guy about other taxi drivers in Rome who like tell you the price before you get in, like 3 times the actual price, and we just don't get in those cabs. And we were telling that guy that, the guy said, yeah, it wasn't Berlin, I think it was Munich. I was in Munich last week, and the cab driver drove me like, 2 or 3 miles, and it was, like 35 euros or something, because cab drivers tricking each other. God damn. He was complaining about the cab drivers. All right. So, I guess don't go to Bavaria. Okay, knight b5. There's a fork and a half there. And it's always equal. Every move white makes is equal. Queen c5, knight takes, or queen takes. Because black has a lot of perpetual checks, and this pawn is weak, and this pawn is weak. So, yeah, everything's a draw. Frankly, terrible. Go to Bavaria, don't take taxis. Hey, it's Pietro. Pietro, where you been? Nobody in Italy has COVID anymore. You guys fixed COVID. You went from 5,000 cases a day to to no cases a day. God damn. We need you over here in the U.S. Now you can fly to the U.S. and we can't fly to Italy. If Pietro comes, can he come in the chess club?
Come in.
Like now. COVID.
Yeah, he could come.
Damn, Pietro, you're the only one allowed in the chess club. I mean, yeah, he's from Italy, so they don't have. Italy doesn't have any COVID anymore. Mm-hmm. Who's Pietro? Mariotta today is Pietro. I haven't seen you in a while on the stream. Maybe it was me. Can you come too? No. Unless your name is Pietro, then maybe, but probably not.
Well, it's more than he's Pietro. He's coming a long way.
That's right. Mm-hmm. My name is Guy Incognito. Yes, that will do. And I think we should give the oil well to the local energy concern. Actually, that might have been Mr. Snrub. All right, so Giri's thinking forever. He's like, now that it's completely equal, now I'm going to try to win, but not really. Yeah, I know that was Snrub. My name is Max Power. That's right. It took me 20 years to realize Snrub is Burns backwards. Well, that's good. You were getting back to the real life. Are you back home, Pietro? You were visiting family somewhere or something. Not in Rome. When in Rome? You back in Rome, dude? You back to work? Can you go out and get cigarettes now? What's going on over there? Can you go out and get pasta? You can tell me. Yeah, this move is not interesting. I mean, this game is not interesting. Jeez. The clocks are not running. Well, they shouldn't be running. They should be stationary on the table. But I can make them run if you want. Not yet. We can go outside kind of freely now. Yeah. All right. The clocks are running. Are you happy? Takes. It says every move is all zeros. It doesn't matter what he does. If you take this pawn, I can perpetual check you, it says. It says G3 gives you nothing. It says all moves are all zeros. Man, harsh. Knight takes, knight, pawn takes. This is knight takes, pawn takes. That's what happened. That's the continuation. I muted by mistake. What was the aim behind KB5 by Magnus? Somebody says in the chess.com chat. Trade everything and draw. Now black wants to check and take this and take this and take this. So the only important line is this. This is the only important line. And then you play queen f5, threatening that. And then if he defends it, you perpetual him, because it's perpetual everywhere. This queen can't come and help. The queen is just sitting out there, not helping the white king, and now it's perpetual check. It doesn't matter what white does. That's the only line that matters. So if Giri can't take this and be a pawn up for nothing, then he's got no winning chances. He's going to try to get some winning chances, but you know. So he played G3. That way he can not get perpetualed right away. And B6 is equal. Queen F5 is equal. Queen A1 check should draw. Take this pawn. That's better for white. But it's still a draw. Queen F5 is the correct move, because then we're threatening at some point to take and play H4 or play H4 first. And then we got our perpetual check down. And then we got our check taking the A pawn. So Queen F5 defends the D pawn, defends the E5 square. So Queen F5 is the most accurate move. Turned off your monitor. That was funny. I like that. Nobody got your joke, but I did. So just keep trying. That was good. One guy said, there's no sound. And he says, oh, I accidentally muted my computer. So the next guy said, there's no video. Oh, I accidentally turned off my monitor. That was good. He got that guy good. The guy didn't know it, but I'm trying to help the guy out who made the joke. The engine says B6 is also equal. All right. I like Queen F5, but okay. Another tourney win for Carlsen. That is correct. Except, let's see, Dubov won the last tournament by beating Naka. Then Giri won that Mr. Dodgy tournament, and so forth. On the last Three Stooges I watched before I came here, which is right before I came here, Curly goes up to Mo and says, I can't hear anything. And Mo says, why not? And he says, I wasn't listening. And then Mo just kept beating him up. I wasn't listening. It's a good reason.
Okay.
I can't hear anything. Why not? I wasn't listening. There's no sound. Rawr. Oh, wait, I'm deaf. That's right. Why is this game so boring and they're playing so slow? Oh, that's right, because it's chess. Boo. Go back to that first game that was exciting. What's the score and what game is this? Magnus is up 1.5-1/2. And per force, it's game 3 because he's up 1.5-1/2. If Magnus wins this game, then the match is over. If Giri wins, then it's tied. And when Magnus and Giri draw this game, Magnus will be up 2-1, and Giri will be in a must-win position with black. Very suspicious. That's right. Magnus won the Magnus Carlsen Invitational. In 2012, I played in the Noel Skelton Open, and I played Noel Skelton, but he didn't win the tournament. How did Anish get his rating so high? Was he your student? Yes. Yes, he was. Yay, Magnus played the most accurate move. Now, if Magnus can play here or here, he'll put all his pieces on white squares. And Giri has to play h4, b4, a3 for the opposite effect. Does anyone know when the candidates will resume? Nobody knows. Nobody knows anything. Magnus did miss check taking the pawn. Maybe next time I'll see it. Maybe I'll see it here. Yeah, if Magnus had played incorrectly and taken this pawn, then white would play queen check and queen takes d5 and have winning chances because perpetual checks are gone. The extra double pawn on the queen side is shallow and pedantic, and white has 4-3. When I was 17, I had some very bad variations. Yeah, Magnus did miss Vishwan nothing. Instead, Magnus played the best move. Frankly, terrible. Man, I got the Dubov. Let's see, what else do I got? I got Hikaru, Dubov, Spencer. Put it in H. Boo, suspicious. Vishwa, nothing. All right. CW subscribe. Go, Ben. The Olympiad's going to be online. That makes a lot of sense except for one thing. I mean, it is. Okay, so Giri put it in H with 19 seconds left. All right, and now it's perpetual check time. Queen e4, G, a G. This is the game G versus G. All right, so game 4 is going to start in about 10 minutes after they repeat here. And I'll go to the bathroom in the interim, and Karen will entertain the troops. This game will be drawn in less than 10 seconds. Karen ran away. She said, no. My food's out there. Oh, yeah, my order has arrived. Please meet your Postmate to collect your order. Right. Yeah, they're supposed to deliver to the door.
I'm pointing to the...
Yeah. Your order's been placed. Your order's out for delivery. Please meet your Postmate to collect your order. Hello, sir. I'm outside. Right. You're supposed to drop it off and leave. Right. He's supposed to do that. He's calling and texting me. Terrible. Frankly, terrible. How do they not know that? That's all they do is non-contact delivery, and he still doesn't know it.
I'm in my staff.
Okay.
It's not over yet.
Yes, it just ended. Since 99% of the viewers are non-contact and there's nobody here, why is he like, where are you? What? Non-contact, dude. It's weird that when I order food, it's always a different person delivering it. Does everybody on Earth deliver food? I mean, I've ordered food 1 billion times, right? Less than 1 billion people live in the U.S. So how can it be a different person every time? Like, how's that possible? You would think if you ordered food so much, like it would be the same person occasionally, but no.
Yeah.
We've had them take a photo. We don't get a tip in real life. You get a tip on the app. What is this, 1970? What are you guys talking about?
For the next game.
They usually take 8 or 9 minutes.
So what's the score?
2-1 Magnus.
Okay.
Yeah.
I cannot do that.
All right, that's good. I can eat and go to the bathroom at the same time. In what movie did the guy eat and go to the bathroom at the same time? And who was it? That's a good one.
I don't know. That sounds gross.
No, but it was as a kid. It was Bad News Bears. Remember the catcher was a big kid?
No. Oh, yeah.
Right. He was eating Kentucky Fried Chicken while sitting on the toilet.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Yeah.
How's everybody doing? I've been doing a lot of work today, so I haven't really been watching the games. Let me see if they put the next one up. And they did. So let's see what people are doing. Hey, Hugo L70. Hey, Earth Goddess. I thought you said you were leaving, or maybe that was somebody else. Hey, Nyrex OG. Oh, thank you, the transcriptionist. I have a hard time saying everybody's names. Hey, Each Heinz. How's it going? Unbanned people, says Hadokovic. Did somebody get banned today? Hey, Doodling Dude. Yeah, I got your back, Doodling Dude. It's all right. Hey, Height Down. Nice to meet you. Are you? Yeah, we're using the new microphone, but I need to do some sort of audio test and see how it compares to the other one.
So this door
Yeah?
here,
Hmm?
on the bottom one of the things, the hinges,
Yeah.
the next room, that's like falling off.
Oh, in the second room?
Yes, you'll see it. It's like coming off.
All right. I do a lot of stuff. I also fix things. He's telling me the hinge is broken in the second room
It's
on
not
the door.
broken, like the screws are coming out of it. It just needs, you can probably fix it later.
Tightening.
I think so.
Needs tightening. Yeah, I'm not that great, but I can use some basic tools.
You are great. You're so great that I'll give you a basil roll.
Yeah. I fixed his chair. Do you remember you got when it was making
When it was squeaking, yeah.
the squeaky noise?
People still complain it's squeaking because they're watching the old video on YouTube like your chair squeaking.
Oh.
Even though it was like a month ago. They're still complaining.
Yeah, I
about it.
fixed that. How long till the next game?
Everybody
and
always asks the same
is it the
question.
last one, says
It's when they
Height
start
Down.
it. That's what it is.
Well, it's a reasonable question. I don't know.
What do they ask more? When is the next game, or when are you guys reopening? Ugh. When is the candidates going to happen?
Yeah, I've got it ready. And Ben's eating, and hopefully he'll finish before the game starts.
Why, they want to see you do the analysis, not me.
Since I can't really do any analysis.
Why not?
SC Cowell says, y'all need an audio compressor. Well, it might be that we need to adjust the settings. It's a new microphone. We just sort of plugged it in without, doing any kind of research or anything. Where did Ben get his catchphrases, says Xanth13. Some of them come from different TV shows. Some of them he made up.
I agree with that.
Various places. Is that accurate? Hey, Night Respectful Animal. When are we reopening? I don't know. We just keep pushing it out.
I mean, things are worse here than they've ever been. Every state's worse than ever was.
Yeah.
It's like less likely to reopen now than even a month ago.
Yeah, I wanted to reopen in July, but we were waiting, and then the numbers started going up.
Killing all of our customers is a bad business model.
Yeah, we don't want to kill the customers. So some people say the mic sounds great, and some people think it needs tweaking. So I'll, listen to it at some point. And I have I'm pretty sensitive to sound, so I think I'll be able to. I hate it when there's any kind of white noise or if it picks up sounds it shouldn't, that kind of thing. So, yeah, I've been told that that I have a good speaking voice. I'm like anybody else. I don't like to listen to myself talk. And I never listen to myself sing. So, yeah, I would like to regular stream. Thank you. I'm glad you liked the stream with Spencer. Yeah, I do want to do it regularly. Um, I'm just incredibly busy right now with some non-work items and with work items, but after I get the taxes done, which will have to be in the next 2 weeks, I'm hoping to have a little bit more time. That's right, Skylatope. We did, or Slylatope.
Yeah, I don't like reading some of the names either.
It's kind of fun to try to read them. Well, I mean, yeah, I didn't. We don't want to reopen and then have to just close again. So, um, and I know that St. Louis Chess Club opened, but most of the other chess clubs are not open, and we would have to hire someone to sit by the door to make sure that everybody has masks on that comes in here. And then that means we'd have to raise the price a little bit on our events to cover hiring someone, because we're a mom and pop shop. We don't just have staff running around that can do that. Um, yeah, we need about 10 Karens. I need to make a bunch of emotes and do a bunch of stream related
Now, when
stuff.
you say 10 Karens, mean women to run around and scream at everybody and get arrested and shoot people? Oh, not that kind of Karen.
Not that Karen. You like Jen Shahade's voice, says Skakmat.
Says Jen Shahadi. Oh, hey, remember the woman who pulled a gun, the other woman in the parking lot in Michigan, like 2
Yeah,
years ago?
I remember that.
The father was fired from Oakland University, and they've both been arrested and have their guns taken away.
It's frightening how many people just have guns in their cars. You see it on the news a lot lately, or we don't, we're not gun people. So, oh, the board is messed up. What's going on? Do you have it on the wrong? I can change scenes. I opened the new. I mean, there's nothing to
close
see.
the other one that's a
Oh,
draw.
just closed it.
The one
Oh,
that's a
you're
draw.
on.
Just
The...
close that and you're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
There
Alright,
we go.
Now it's in some kind of hood.
Yeah, we have. Thank you for pointing that out. We have two different scenes. One is for just one board, and then another is for multiple boards. Yeah, thank you, the Grand Wazoo.
This is the hottest the soup's ever been. Maybe because it didn't sit out for an hour, like temperature-wise.
Yeah,
it's hard to eat.
maybe. Oh. How many monitors do you all use there? Well, Ben just has one external monitor, and then, of course, the laptop monitor. And last time I streamed, I did the same thing, but back when I streamed a few times and more regularly, I was using 2 monitors. So I'm not sure. I think we need to change Ben's setup a little to accommodate for those times that chess.com does not have the moves. Oh, some moves are going on. All
Is
right.
Magnus white?
E4,
So
C5.
C5. Wow. Bishop B5 or not?
Knight F3, D6.
Bishop B5 check?
Bishop B5 check.
Knight D7?
Knight D7,
Wow.
A4.
A4.
See, Ben's eating, but I can call out the moves, and he's got it in his head. Knight F6. G6.
Oh, no. After Knight F6, it's white's move.
Oh, I'm sorry. Knight C3, G6. A5.
Wow.
Bishop G7.
A6.
Castles.
Aw.
You thought A6?
No, castles is better. I was wrong.
Oh. Yeah, sorry, I missed that move.
No, you did good. Did black castle or play A6?
They're thinking.
Mm-hmm. What do you think? He'll castle or play A6?
Castle.
The
But
problem with castles is white can play rook E1 after A6, bishop F1. So you might play A6 now.
after A6,
Yeah, see, if you let
Bishop.
white play rook E1, white can play bishop F1. So he wants to play A6 before rook E1, so you might play A6 now.
oh, I see. Oh, yeah, that gives him another.
Then Magnus will probably take the knight,
Gives him another option.
play H3, etc. But Giri played c5 on move 1 instead of e5. Very good.
Yeah,
A6.
a6.
Bishop takes d7.
No, retreat.
Where?
Bishop e2.
Well, then a6 is justified. Otherwise, rook e1, bishop f1 would have been played.
Go Giri. We do stack paper to the ceiling.
With COVID, we
Castles.
stacked toilet paper to the ceiling.
Hey, that you stole that was Twitchy's line.
Was it?
Yeah, Twitchy said that one night on the stream. I haven't seen Twitchy lately. Castles. I think I said that already. Okay, now rook e1.
Wow, he's going to play bishop f1 anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Even after bishop b5, bishop e2. Wow.
Yeah, Ben shall return soon for those that just tuned in. He's eating, and I'm sitting here, so there's not an empty chair. But I can't really do analysis.
Tom McLean fans don't mind. If there's an empty
What?
chair.
Oh. What song is that?
Empty chairs.
Oh. I don't know that song.
Hey, ask in the chat. This is a serious question. I'm serious.
B5.
Ready
Yeah.
for the serious question? They take on Passant yet?
Yeah.
Serious question. Who can they hear better right now, me or you?
Yeah, who can you hear better, me or Ben? I'm right by the
right
mic.
now, I mean,
But you're
not when I'm sitting there.
Yeah,
but now. Yeah.
right now.
I'm still guessing it's me.
They said equal. I know somebody else said me.
Really? Wow.
Slightly. About the same, Karen even. Hey, I'm the loudest.
Yeah.
Okay, some moves have happened. After en passant, we had bishop b7, then d3.
Mm-hmm.
You can
See,
hear
this
the
is
eating.
why this is why Magnus and Kasparov working out together didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Like Kasparov can't play like the way Magnus is playing. Magnus is playing really boring and for a draw, and Kasparov can't do that with White. Kasparov would be like crushing Giri.
Yeah.
He can't do this. White's playing really passive this game and solid.
Knight takes b6.
You see how passive White's position is? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's how I play. Not like Magnus, obviously, but, you know.
Like, you know, the father Carlsen, not Magnus. Although Henrik is 2000.
Yeah. Here's a question for you. Do you guys ever get bored reviewing chess games? Well, I don't really, I review them for myself. E5. But, you know, I don't know do you get bored with that, Ben? Probably.
Ooh.
Gets old, I would imagine. Hey, MSD 8788. It is barely Karen. System from Tuvalu.
Do people like this way of commentary better or when I'm doing it? Like you're doing it, I'm telling you, and I'm eating.
I'm sure they like you
They like watching you and
sitting
hearing you.
over here.
Yeah. The commentary is slightly prettier now.
Well, thank you. Rat incoming. You like this tensor extension?
The more you like it, the more you guys should donate.
Well, so the engine says that, you know, knight g4 is a possibility. Another possibility is knight f to d5. No. Yeah. Wait, yeah. To d5. I could see that.
Does the engine say White's better by 0.02?
Slightly better. Like, it keeps changing its mind. 0.1.
I thought it would like White a little bit, even though it's equal, because Black has an isolated A pawn.
It likes it better, but it's not by it's 0.1. It was slightly higher than it sat there for a while. Now it says it's even equal. Um, I'm always afraid to make moves like knight g4, because then I feel like I can't calculate very well, and I'm so paralyzed by fear. So I'm always picturing them moving the
That wasn't
knight
fear, Karen, that was the
f3.
drugs I gave you.
Knight f3, and then they take my knight because they've got 2 pieces on it. So that does hold me back because I'm always and I do hang my pieces, so it's not unfounded. Okay, so he went knight f to d5, the second, and then knight takes, and knight takes. And then e takes d6. You hang pieces too, Ralph Wickham? I don't know. I need to practice more tactics. Y'all do. Okay, well, good. E takes d6. I didn't mean to ignore you, Pam. If I did. Or maybe you're just saying in general. Okay, c3. If you're still listening, Ben. Rook e8. And the engine's saying that d4 is the most recommended move.
Well, bishop g5.
And they went bishop d2.
Is that what he played?
Now we got queen b6. Coming in over attacking that pawn. Now what we got going on, let's see. They're still saying d4. The engine says is the best.
Magnus is playing pretty passive.
Now we have queen c2.
Also passive.
Didn't want to lose that pawn. That's what I would have moved.
He played queen c2 or he's thinking?
He played it. I definitely don't like to lose my pawns.
All zeros?
Black is 0.08. So it says rook a to c8 is the best.
Yeah, he won't play that.
No. He went a5.
He played a5? Yeah, that's more of a Giri kind of move.
Still saying d4 is the best for white for several moves now, but not really hugely better than the other moves. But it also says h3 is a move.
He'll play bishop f1.
Ben says he'll play bishop f1. That's also, well, now that the engine has had a moment to think, bishop f1 is really the same as d4, which says it would be equal. h3 was played. Now we have bishop c6.
This is like the game Giri versus Giri.
It's, pretty even.
If Giri's playing Giri, we'll have annotations by Spider-Man.
All right, it's still wanting d4.
What did he play after h3?
Bishop c6. Yeah, I don't know why that's better. Because it seems like it opens up that file. Yeah, he did play it to where your queen is, and then you got to move again. But what do I know? I'm always worried. Worried chess player. Worried about my material. That's my downfall. But if you can't calculate, it's a reasonable worry. Let's see. Engine recommends rook e to b8. Also similar a4. Push the pawn.
Yeah, he played bishop c6 to play a4.
Oh, it did. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He's isolated. He wants to.
Gary.
It's a good use.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
Pretty equal position.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it says .06 for black, so essentially equal. Ben shall be returning soon. Hey, Felix Frias. Yeah, greatest commentary ever.
Yeah.
So some possible moves, queen b7. You said they were wanting to push the pawn. That obviously is listed too. a4 and rook eb8.
Yeah,
is a
queen
move.
b7 makes a lot of sense too, making a battery on the diagonal.
Mhm.
That makes it hard for white to play bishop f1, which he wants to play, because then he defends g2 and he opens the e file for his rook.
Okay, hopefully you guys heard all that.
It's hard not to hear me.
Well, you're not real loud. Okay, so he's thinking a bit. I don't know if it's normal to think this long, because now he's about, 3 minutes behind, which doesn't seem great.
Don't forget to read off all the donations I'm hearing.
Well, I don't like to harass people for money.
What do you harass people for?
But, if you guys want to... Yay, Cy Bradbury.
200?
200 centidues.
Yep, don't even have to be there. Tell how much it was.
The voice of reason in the background.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell Ben? Oh, knight takes on d4, and then we have knight b4.
So what did black do?
Did I miss? I missed something.
Yeah, black made a move.
d4. Okay, c takes d4.
Right.
Then knight takes d4.
Right.
Then
knight
knight
b4.
b4. Yeah.
Tricky for
Sorry,
Giri.
I missed a move. Why didn't I hear that?
Tricky from Giri.
Tricky?
Mm-hmm.
Now the engine recommends queen to d1, or queen to c1, or queen to b3. All really equal, according to the engine, equally drawish.
Yeah, food's good. Oh, I'll finish this later.
Why can't you take the pawn?
Which pawn?
I mean the knight.
Well,
Let's see.
the pawn on c3 is defending
Oh
the knight
yeah,
on d4.
the other knight.
Right.
Okay. I see it.
You can, but you don't want to.
Yeah.
See, Giri's tricky, although not really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the only thing Giri has going for him is his wife is better at chess than Magnus's dad.
Yeah, she's pretty cute too, Giri's
Well, I
wife.
mean, Magnus's dad is pretty cute.
All right, I'm getting up. And
If you ever go to the back, I'll take a period.
yeah, I can get one. See you
Yeah,
guys.
it's hot. Speaking of hot, how'd you like that commentary? All right, let's see what's going on here. They played a boring Sicilian. Knight d7 is the winning attempt. Bishop d7, too much trading. a4, a5, confusing the audience. Now he gets a little, square in here, so if black wants to play b5, he has to isolate his pawn, which he ended up doing anyway.
Are you done with this?
No.
Okay.
I threw out the stuff I was done with.
I might eat one roll and send over.
You said don't let you eat a roll.
I got it.
Bishop d2, greatest player who ever lived. Let's see, h3, greatest player who ever lived. What? Man, no moves made because they knew that I took over the commentary. Excuse me. Volume is good, could be better. That is correct. Karen sounds like somebody. That was good analysis by Karen. Man, she still didn't get me a Perrier.
I'll get you one.
I know.
I gotta get this back on real quick.
The commentary is too loud. Then the next guy said louder. Yeah. Etc. All right, so Giri has 2 isolated pawns. He's got active bishops, active rook. He's threatening a queen. And, I mean, the reason he played knight b4 is he wants to try to win this pawn, but the bishop on c6 would have been attacked, so he's defending it. The problem is when you win this pawn, you give white the 2 bishops in the dark squares. So probably Magnus will play queen c1 to make sure that Giri doesn't take this, because then bishop c3 would be annoying. You know what annoying is. You've heard me do commentary. Ooh, thank you, sweet. You even opened it. God damn. Thank you. Pan gave 500 centidues. Time for a train. That is correct. Delicious. Frankly. Now, I have to explain, if this wasn't a game where Magnus would win the match by drawing, he wouldn't be playing this way. Probably half the moves he played, he wouldn't play. But he's like, if I draw, I win the match. So he's making the game a draw, and Giri's like, what? That's what I do. So, taking away his thunder. 100 centidues from Cy Bradbury. We need one more 100 centidue plus or one more sub, and we have another train. Right, sweetie?
Okay.
Karen says yes. Oh, we got more viewers. It's a train. Magnus is the best player ever, except he's not. Ztor03, thank you. Why didn't Giri play a sharper line? He played pretty sharp, I thought, but Magnus didn't let him. I mean, he played knight d7, g6, you know. He did what he could. He tried to play the knight orphan, he couldn't. Trying is the first step to failure. Do you chill your Perrier? Ice cold. That's right. All right. And now, Karen.
What?
You're supposed to say yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Let's break this game down. Don't let me break this game down for nothing. Let me some sugar. I am your neighbor. Right? Come on, you're from Atlanta. You know what's up. That's the highest rated rapper. Andre 3000.
Oh,
It's pretty high rated.
I like them.
Why didn't Giri play the Smith Mora? Because he had the black pieces. I hope I answered your question. Magnus disconnected. Nah, he's thinking. He's thinking, what will I tweet after I win this match? Oh, snap. That is what he's thinking, too. Queen b3, double exclam, former muscle. I like queen c1 because it makes bishop takes, pawn takes, queen takes too risky with my control of the dark squares. Also, it's a retreat. It walks into some forks. So I like it. 100 centidues. Wow, he took on d4. The engine is not impressed. Yeah, greatest player ever. Bishop takes d4, takes... Bishop f2, king f1. And Magnus thought this was the best he could do. And the version of Stockfish that I use is the Consuela version. What does Consuela say about what Magnus did? No. Right. So, man, Magnus played this and that just loses. So now Magnus is completely dead. Yeah, bishop takes e1. He saw all this and he misunderstood it. So when Magnus thought forever this is what he calculated, and he decided that this was good for white, because he's the greatest player ever, and he was wrong, and now he's just lost. Obviously, if he takes with the rook, his bishop's hanging, and taking with the king hangs mate in 1 to queen g1 mate. He has to take with the bishop, then queen takes, forks the bishop and the rook and the bishop, and Magnus can resign. So Magnus is a lunatic. I mean, it's ridiculous what he did. I wish I could be like seeing the you know, what do you call it? The webcam. Greatest player ever. Stockfish ain't wrong. Magnus hung all his pieces. Okay. After knight b4, Magnus calculated takes, here. He took the bishop instantly. Okay. This, and then he probably thought I just take back and I'm winning. But king takes, hangs mate in 1. So that's not good. Queen g1 mate. Rook takes, hangs the bishop. So that's ridiculous. And bishop takes just walks into a fork and loses a pawn. What's that?
Visibly distressed.
Right. I mean, he just, greatest player ever. Yeah. Yeah, we'd really have, if Morphy came back to life somehow, we'd really have to get him a driver's license. I mean, because they didn't have cars then. Because he'd be taking Magnus to school back, all the time. Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, so Giri's going to win this game, and we're going to go to a blitz playoff, which is very funny to me. I mean, I thought Giri would have no chance to win this game, but Magnus is like, ha, this loses by force. Let's do that. All right, his next move is also very bad. This move indicates to me, okay, he resigned after he moved. This move indicates to me that he was thinking queen takes rook and he missed queen takes bishop mate. I actually do think that he thought he could try to do this fortress or something. All right, Magnus resigned. He played bishop f3, then he resigned.
Yeah.
The important thing was Magnus thought forever, then went into the forced loss. Magnus is like, I'm going to play really quiet to match the commentary of Karen. Then as soon as I came in and I went, then Magnus is like, I sack everything and resign. Yeah. All right, so Magnus resigned because even his last move was ridiculous. Yeah. 222 centidues, 540 centidues. Yay. Greatest player ever. Yeah. Magnus is the greatest. Giri's face is priceless. I mean, Magnus is still a big favorite of the Blitz, but it's still funny. So in a must-draw game with white, in a completely equal position, where every move is equal, queen b3, queen d1, queen c1, the engine says all zeros, all 3 moves. Magnus thinks for 6 minutes, confusing Karen, saying like, well, why is he thinking so long? And then he plays a line that loses by force. Now in this position, he doesn't have to lose with queen takes bishop. He could be slightly worse with queen c3. Slightly worse. Exchange out ending with 2 passed pawns. Slightly worse. Right? Takes, and probably that's a draw with correct play, and black's better. But Magnus, this was his plan when he played c takes b4, and then here he was like, what the hell? Like, he's like, I got 2 bishops for a rook and a passed pawn. I'm going to win. And even though he has 3 ways to take back, this is a common mistake that I've made a lot. When you're analyzing a variation and you think, well, here I have 2 or 3 good moves, so I'm not even going to look at this anymore. And then it turns out the 3 good moves you have all lose immediately. That's actually funny. Except, I mean, it's funny when I'm not playing. If I'm the one doing it, then it's not funny. Man, as soon as you got up, Magnus is like, here, I resigned. Magnus wanted Karen to commentate. All right. Now, obviously, Magnus is going to win the Blitz playoff, but it's still funny. All right. Fischer has a C in it. Yeah. Oh, well, I guess the truth hurts. I wonder what, like, Svidler and Yasser and Bartholomew and Shanklin is saying about how great Magnus is. They're always saying that. All right, 100 centidues. We need more centidues. This will be the greatest hype train of all time. You know, when Magnus played here, I seriously wonder if this was what his idea was. And this is losing, but he could try to like get a fortress or something. And then he realized before Giri moved that after queen takes rook, queen takes his mate. Like, I don't know. That'd be funny if he thought that. Thinking not his strong suit. Then resigns. 200 centidues. All right, so the score's 2-2. And time for some blitz. So you want Magnus to play bishop c3, and then this. Now after this, you resign. You're losing your bishop. Yeah. Nah, you can't do Vishwa nothing. Yeah, no, here he's dead. Yeah. He's dead as Dillinger. No, you have to leave your bishop on e1 so it's defended. So you can play like queen c3 and do this. But yeah, this is just losing. Down an exchange and a pawn. King's no good, etc. Papa John's. Yeah. Etc. etc. Nah, I mean, Magnus going to win the blitz. Now, the problem is, oh, they got the blitz up. Usually I got to complain a lot. Yeah. Man, I can't believe you give this long speech. Karen was like, 4-7 years ago, I'm not going to have any more of the basil rolls. And then 5 minutes later, she was like, that's a lot of commentary. Time for a basil
I
roll.
didn't eat breakfast.
Yeah. Good mommy.
Because I was running late.
Yeah, you were running and running and running and running. What about queen d7? Well, it's queen e3 check and queen takes bishop. Also, there's rook takes bishop because the queen on e2 defends the rook. Could black also play bishop g3 with the idea of bishop h2 instead of bishop takes e1? No. Giri already tweeted, good, good. That's what I want to see.
Your Magnus was in
Yeah.
agony.
I mean, it's ridiculous. He knows it's equal, and he played like a lunatic. He wrote, beat Magnus Carlsen on demand with the black pieces. It's nice. Yeah, the truth hurts. That's the truth. I mean, you can't really argue with that. Sea Lions, U.S. Chess, Jan Gustafsson. Man, Twitter's not as exciting as per usual. Good tweet, though. Magnus squeezes Giri's blood from a stone. Yeah, harsh. All right, in the chat, let's vote. Also, what happened to my my train level 1? Let's vote in the chat. Who's going to win today? The match just today, Giri or Magnus? Vote in the chat. You can do it. They'll give you something to do. Karen doesn't know. Let's see. Giri, neither. Giri, Magnus, Magnus, Magnus. Fries, Maggie, Giri, Mongoose. Mongoose got 2 votes. Giri's going to draw the next 3 games and win. Frazier, Pat Buchanan, Magnus, El Magneto. Could go either way. Karen, you got more votes than I did, Karen. Bishop F1. Pam spelled Giri with 2 I's at the end, so 3 I's total. Was that the best thing you ate today?
You know.
Today.
Yeah.
Archer. So you got a vote and Archer got a vote. I didn't get any votes. Herman Cain. Yeah, Shanklin usually says Magnus and then sometimes says Magnus. It depends on his mood. Don't forget my soup.
What's up in here?
Yay, Colonel Sanders. Harold Zoid. Who's Harold Zoid related to?
Zoid?
Yeah.
Is it a real person?
No.
Oh.
Zoidberg. Yeah, Zoidberg. It's his uncle Harold Zoid. And they're making fun of which famous movie person? Harold Lloyd.
Oh.
Yeah. It's Harold Zoid though. That's a great question when Zoidberg says, "Is bread free?" The guy says, "Yeah. We'll split an order." Did you ever lose to a female player? Was she loose? Let's see. Make sure to sub to the channel or buy merch. That is correct. Did Carlsen do a Naroditsky and destroy his whole computer setup, and now he loses the match because he can't play anymore? Man, Mubot's got the wrong score. God damn. That score's older than God. That was the score before Karen was born. It was a mouse slip. Good job, Pam. When Giri played knight b4, Nepo and Magnus blundered the next move. What? I made fun of knight b4 when he played against Magnus? What? A couple of f6 shirts. Good, good. All tied up. Man, I should just tweet greatest player ever. Be a good tweet. Ivan Sokolov making fun of Magnus. $30. Chirapaka. Pat will win. It's Pat. Thanks, Chirapaka. You're the best. All right, they've started Giri Magnus. Beat Magnus on demand with black. The truth hurts. All right, this already happened because black played e5. So Magnus did this before, and he played e5 and so forth. But not now. All right, always play bishop f1. Yeah, this is completely equal, so Giri's happy. The time control is 5 minute with a 3 second increment. They play 2 games regardless of the result of the first game. If after the 2 games it's 1-1, then they play an Armageddon game. And I have no way of knowing which side gets to choose, who gets black. All right, so Magnus played c5. Then he went backwards. CD, ED, DC. And now, most people would take with the pawn getting the hanging pawns, but instead, Magnus played knight takes. He wants e4 for his knight. Rawr! He wants to attack. He has great vengeance and furious anger in mind. Right, sweetie? All right. All right, so Magnus gets gets to play black in the Armageddon if they get that far, etc. Queen f5, very suspicious. I like it. Time to run the queen around a little bit. He knows that Magnus is going to put a knight on e4 and doesn't want his queen over here. He wants to get it involved somehow, but I think it might get more attacked than involved. It's a record for Anish, 1 win in a row. What's more likely? Giri wins 2 games in a row or the Detroit Tigers do? Oh, snap. And to further that joke, what's more likely? Giri wins 2 games in a row or the Tigers win even 1 game? Oh, man, Tigers bad. 94, 94. 94. There's no more knights that can go to e4. And white is clearly slightly better. Very slightly. Bishop b5 is a good move because then later Giri can go back to f1. Very good, Giri. Then he can play bishop f1 later. Will Magnus attack the queen? This way, or simply save his rook? The answer is fries. Man, I kicked the camera. How do I look on the camera now that I kicked it? Man, you can't even tell. Ridiculous. Yeah, Yasser gives the thumbs up. How common is rapid blitz bullet in Morpheus era? Not too common. Playing with a clock wasn't too common.
I've heard from our sponsor of the Queen's Gambit video.
Yeah, and he was furious.
They're very happy with it.
Yeah? Did he legally change his name to Anonymous? Oh. Can you cite Ezekiel 25:17? I would never say the path of the righteous man is beset on all sides with the, something in iniquities, and so forth. Am I my brother's keeper? And you will know my name is the Lord when I blunder all my pieces against you. The selfish and the tyranny of evil men. Now, I never thought much about what it meant. I just thought it was some, let's see, he says something I can't say on stream, right? Stuff to say before I put a cap in his ass. But I've been thinking about that more now. Now, it could mean, I like the way he gives the different things it could mean. I'm the righteous man. Now, but that's not right. I missed a 9mm here. When do they start playing with rapid blitz and bullet? What am I, a chess historian? I don't know. When are you going to go to Canada and stream with Chess Bras? Well, number one, Americans can't go to Canada, so no. And number two, if we could, then I would not. Thanks for your question, though. Man, these guys are good at copying and pasting from the internet. I will occasionally raid the Chess Bras, though, like I did yesterday. Yesterday, all the Chess Bras seem so far away.
Y'all love the Chess Bros.
Man, I can't make the next line, but it's pretty funny. All right, so Giri played Queen H6, threatening mate, and the engine says you can play F6, F5, or Bishop C3, and he played the worst move, F6. The engine recommends it, but never play F6. Rook F1. Very rarely in a game do I see Bishop B5 attacking the rook, and the rook goes here. Then Bishop B4 attacking the rook, and the rook goes back. This is chess, modern chess. Well, now obviously Giri is the favorite now that Magnus played F6. How does black not lose a piece here? Which piece is black going to lose? Which one? What piece is black losing? What? How does black lose a piece? What? Let's see. Rook C8. Yeah, this is better for white now. And for some reason, Magnus has 1.5 to 4 minutes. Ridiculous. $600 viewers adieu. Hooray for me. There's 2 blitz games. If the score is 1-1 after the 2 blitz games, and they play an Armageddon game. Put it in H. Look at Giri go. This is a funny piece sack. Bishop A3. Bishop A3, Queen A3, Bishop E4, and you can't take because of Rook D7. So it's not necessarily the best move, but it's possible. Bishop takes is the engine move. Yeah, this just seems better for white. Still, you have a nice knight here. White has a big timing advantage also. Karen's been Karen all of her life. That is correct.
Not just
Did they ever call you anything else in school, at any school?
Karen.
What?
Yeah, I had nicknames.
Yeah.
But no, it's always Karen.
What was the best nickname?
Special K.
Special K. That is a good nickname.
K-Dog.
K-Dog. Whoa, what's happening? What world am I in? Oh, he pretended to sack the exchange. He really didn't do it. All right, and then Bishop A6. Always play bishop f1. All right. Looks like they're headed towards a draw. Circle K. Well, Magnus did well to thwart the attack and get closer to time also. He was way behind on the clock, and now it's getting close. And his position's better than it was. What happened in game 4? Magnus thought for 5 minutes, and then played a long forcing line and resigned instead of not doing that. I don't know what Magnus overlooked either. I don't know. It looked like he thought after he could just take any way on e1 and be winning, but they all lost.
It didn't seem that complicated.
It was complicated. It was easier with an engine. But yeah, I mean, obviously, like I said, the players,
I understood.
players used to be good. Kasparov, Tall, Morphy, Fischer. Now we got like Magnus and Giri. Ugh,
I understood.
terrible, man. Wait, what does he have to do? Oh, yeah. I mean, Magnus made a horrible blunder and resigned. In the must-drawn game, he lost. The bromance continues. Yeah, when Magnus let Giri win that game, Sopiko suspected something was up. I have a funny story, but I won't tell any names. So, Grandmaster X was dating woman's IM or woman's GM Y. And woman's GMIM was pretty young. I'm going to say 21. No, it was probably 22, 23. And the Grandmaster X was probably about 40. But anyway, then they got paired in a tournament, and the game was shown live online, and they drew in 9 moves in 3 minutes. And WGM or WIM's mom said, uh-oh, I know what that means. And she got furious. That's how the mom found out. Yeah. I'll tell you who the people were later. Yeah. Well, I thought that was pretty funny. That's how the mom found out. And she was furious, great anger and furious, whatever. It's funny, knowing the players, I'm surprised the Grandmaster gave the WGMIM a draw, because I know the people. That's not something that would be common. All right. That was a great story. All right, nothing's happening. And Carlsen has basically caught up on time. Yeah. They were doing the bishop and knight mate. That is correct. Does my mom play chess? She knows legally how to play chess. And she hates chess. God damn. She hated chess before you were born, Pam. Yeah. Put it in H. I mean, white's still slightly better. Black has king issues. Black has d-pawn issues. Black has time issues. But I've never seen Giri win 2 games in a row. Does Magnus lose 2 games in a row a lot? Has Magnus ever lost 2 games in a row since he's been like 12? Ooh, d4. A very desperate move. That shows that he's begging for a draw. d4 takes here. Good winning chances for Giri. G5, wow. It's the only commentary in the chess.com chat that's ever been correct. He says now Anish has an extra pawn. Yeah, that's right. That commentary was correct. It's funny with Anish being white, you guys are like, it's probably a draw. If Magnus was white, you'd be like, Magnus going to win easily with his great technique. Giri's technique is queen e3, queen d3, queen e3, queen d3. Interesting technique. I mean, both sides have no time. Even Magnus could win. There's no time for either player. Now it's just silliness. G4, confusing the audience. F3, confusing the audience again. G4, F3, never play F3. Really, Giri? You can't repeat and draw when you're pawn up. Don't do it. Good. I'll be mad if you do it. Magnus wants to come here. Giri sweats the technique. Well, there is increment. It's 5 minute with a 3 second increment, so they could have more time. The engine says it's equal. Both players playing for a win. Interesting time to play here. Very good play by Giri, sacrificing his D pawn so his king gets out, he can win the A pawn. Very good. That gives him the most winning chances. I would assume this is winning with correct play. That would be my assumption. Yeah, I think Giri is winning. So rook, ooh, I don't like that move, but all right. Like what he wanted to do was get rook f5 and move his king up here. That made more sense than this, because the rook defends the pawn here, puts pressure on this pawn. It's like the game I lost to Gulko in the 87 World Open. Right, sweetie? Yeah, 7.5 hours. Giri's totally messed this up. Yeah, okay, so what Giri wanted to do was play rook f5, which defends this pawn, attacks this pawn. He has b5 and move his king up. And it should be winning, but this is a bad move, and then f4 is a ridiculous move. I mean, now it's a draw. I mean, that... But come on, Giri. It's so obvious to play rook f5 and move your king that way. You want to keep the pawns on the board, you have to defend your pawn. Jesus. Who's doing commentary at Chess 24? Are they as mad as I am? I hope so. You can actually run his king over now. The king's close enough. That's funny. She's not going to be mad. That was terrible. That was really, really bad from Giri. Yeah, I mean, you play rook f5. That's that's what you want to do in this position. Yeah, yes, or should be mad. I mean,
I don't know the other guy, Erwin.
Lamy, yeah, Lamy's good. Yeah, I mean, white should just win out of hand here. This rook here, and I mean, it just should be an easy win. The pawn's defended. The king walks over. I mean, it's like resignable. I mean, you obviously want to play rook f5. This is the pawn structure for rook f5. Let me try to show you the game I lost to Gulko. It was 3 against Gulko. It wasn't 2 against 2. Let me see if I can find it. That's pathetic, though. He didn't win that. I don't know if the game's even there because it's from a long time ago.
Did they do a couple of Blitz games?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't see the Gulko game. All right, I can't show you the rook and pawning with Gulko. Oh, maybe it's in ChessBase. Maybe. I mean, not playing rook f5, I'm like mad. Like it's rook b8, f4. I mean, come on. I make fun of Giri, but he's not that bad. Or maybe he is. I don't know. God, that was just terrible. I do have it. I have the game that I lost to Golko in the '87 World Open. God, that just makes me furious that somebody could play that badly. It's just like maddening. God. Yeah, this is the round 1 of the World Open. I lost in 7.5 hours. I'm so mad. All right, I'll try to like calm down because not really. I mean, Rook B8 and then F4. He's playing for a draw when he's winning. I hope Yasser's as mad as I am. He's probably not. Ugh. I wish there was somebody there like, somebody like Hikaru. Oh, he would be mad if Rook F5. Well, he'd be furious. He'd be destroying the studio. He'd take his new router and break it. That's what he's supposed to do. All right. Ugh. All right, so this is my game with Golko. All right. Yeah, so the A pawn's, instead of the B pawn, and then the rook is defending, and then the king just walks over and you win, because the rook's on F5 defending the F3 pawn. The way this game ended was actually quite cute. Now, look like Golko doesn't do anything. That's good. You got me good. Watch how this game ends. And finally, when I get counterplay, checkmate. No! Horrible. Yes, then we're saying it was a draw after the A pawn was gone and didn't see it. Rook F5 so obvious. Jesus. So mad. All right, so the next game, if it's a draw, then they play an Armageddon game. And if somebody wins this game, the match is over for today, and that person wins match 1. Etc. But I'll never forgive Giri for not playing Rook F5. Never. I can forgive a lot, but not that. Do I think about what life would be like? No, I'm not a psychopath. All right, let's see. Huge relief, losing rook ending. Yeah, that's right.
What's the psychopath?
What life would be like if you were born with the knowledge you have now. God, people have too much time on their hands.
That's not a psychopath.
Yeah, he's a psychopath.
No.
If Mousty's not a psychopath, I don't want to know what a psychopath is.
That's a normal question. I want to see what happened here. Didn't see the game. What was the move that was upsetting?
Move 67 when he played Rook B8.
Alright, 67. Get over there.
Dream to Meme subscribed. Hooray! Go Dream to Meme. Let's see. Ninja's tweeting. All right. Good, good. I see somebody hasn't been here in a year. Good, good. Let's see. Whom are you counting on in Giri Magnus? I mean, I should just stop doing commentary and just look at Morphe's games. This is just silliness. I mean, I might as well just watch you guys play Blitz games and Bullet. Same level of play. Terrible. All right, so Magnus is white. He plays the same-ish variation. When his coach said, "What variation do you want to play?" he said, "It's all the same-ish to me." And Magnus is considering Queen D2. Queen D2, as in the game Dingler and Magnus. Time for another train. The cow goes, Shazoo! Right? Oh, I mean, a European cow. I play 3 Queen C2? Damn. Well, if this happened, he already took and they're just not showing it yet. He's not thinking here. It most certainly does not. Then later in the episode, maybe it does do that. According to the Simpsons film strip, a cow would eat you and everyone you know. B takes C3, exclam. Ah, the people say Magnus disconnected. It's not a joke. After bishop takes c3, he got disconnected. And he reconnected and took back. Damn. Magnus disconnected on move 4 for 2 minutes. He had one legal move, and he disconnected, came back, and then played the move. Very suspicious. Now Giri's going to lose on purpose because Magnus got disconnected. Something. Well, one legal move. The other 2 aren't legal. Yeah, he showed his IP on stream. That's correct. All right, so black's blocking it up on the bubble up. Usually black tries to win this pawn with bishop a6 and knight a5. And white tries to checkmate black. So it's the most fun we've ever had. Not a popular opening for white now, a3. It was in the 20s and 30s. It's the 20s again. H5, H4. Put it in H. You beat Hikaru in nothing. I hope Magnus is ashamed of himself. And Giri. I'm ashamed of both of them. I should stop doing commentary, but I'll give them a break. All right, now I like what Giri's doing. His idea is to play knight g8 and queen d8, confusing the audience. Stockfish doesn't like Magnus's position. Stockfish just likes Magnus. It's an unusual engine. Mom, Dad, I like Potsy. Well, why not, dear? No, I mean, I really like Potsy. We heard you the first time. You have a homosexual attraction to Potsy. Great family, guys. And Tom Bosley never stops reading the paper. We heard you the first time. All right, I don't know. Giri's losing on purpose? I don't know. Giri's moves don't make any sense. I mean, every move Giri makes is terrible. Hello. Yeah, the engine is pretty mad. Why is Magnus winning? Because it's moved 300 and all of Black's pieces are on the back row and he has weak pawns everywhere and he has no space? That's why. I mean, it's like Giri's losing on purpose. And he's getting rolled. F4, GG. And then we just start taking everything. And there's no space. And what is this? Gotta get your king out of there. Oh. There's good moves, there's bad moves, and there's Giri's moves. Giri's moves are bad moves, but worse. Exactly. Yeah, Magnus lost 2 minutes on the clock, and now he's ahead on the clock. Hey, you guys were like, you ever street triple pawns? And there they are. This does look like every blitz game that I play on my stream against you guys, and I have black here, and instead of losing, somehow I win with 1 second on my clock. That's what it looks like. All right, so white's a pawn up and better, but black has a nice knight. Pinback says, I'm starting to suspect these are not the greatest players of all time. That is correct. Now it's time to sack the exchange. Go Magnus. I'll forgive you for everything if you sack the exchange here. Come on, it's Giri's only good piece. Trade it off for that rook. Move that queen out there. Do it. All right, Magnus is 2 pawns up. He has a passed H pawn. Black's position is shallow and pedantic. And even though he spotted him 2 minutes, he still has the same amount of time. Yay, go Magnus. Always sack the exchange. It's you know, my stream. Put it in H. If he doesn't play H5, I'll never drink Perrier again. You got to put it in H. Oh, man. That was risky. As if he doesn't play H5, he'll never drink Perrier again. And 20 seconds later, he played H5.
Pretty obvious.
Yeah, but, you know, Magnus could have been like, Ben doesn't, you know. I forgive Magnus for everything because he sacked the exchange. Giri's still trying to trade everything and draw. G4, G5, GG. 2 passed pawns, terrible rooks. G4, G5, Papa John's. Ooh, Giri's going to do some sideways action. A5, Rook A6 is the only counterplay. That was good from Giri. Now he wants to take this and this. So Magnus will play Bishop E2. Then he gets his counterplay this way. It's still winning for white, but black's getting some chances. Well, Magnus has a minute behind on the clock, so all 3 results will happen. Rook B1, double question mark. Rook takes F6, equal. Oh, well. He must think it's not equal because he can play Rook B5 and try to win a pawn. But the engine does not agree. He has to play Rook takes F6. The only other move is resigns. He's got to do it. Otherwise, his rook's trapped, shallow and pedantic. But Magnus could not. He didn't want to let the guy play rook b6, rook b2, or rook b3. So he just stopped it. So after rook takes knight, gf, rook h5, rook b5, which is what happened, the engine says it's about equal, but Magnus might think if he wins enough pawns, he can win. He's going to be up a pawn, but he has doubled c-pawns. Well, we want this game to be a draw, even though, Magnus probably should have won, because then we can get Armageddon. Put it in H. It's Bruges Web. The white bishop looks weird. Something. This should be a draw, but Giri has more time, but Giri's letting Magnus catch up. Must like this show Fox Force 5, right? That's why he's letting him catch up. Magnus will win. Do you mean this game, or do you mean the Armageddon game? Magnus is better. Black should have played rook g3 check and rook g6. But rook e3 was an obvious move, which is dangerous because we lose the f-pawn. White's f-pawn is pretty dangerous now. And sometimes the exchange sacrifices win. Rook a8 wins according to the engine. It's the only winning move. Otherwise, it's a draw. But rook a8 does win, because if king c7, we have d6 check. He found it. Giri didn't see rook a8. Giri was thinking bishop takes f7. Now Magnus is winning, because the bishop's pinned. Yeah, now d6 check wins. Yeah, he didn't see rook a8. That's easy to miss, because he was looking at bishop takes f7. So I can see why he missed that. Magnus will definitely find d6, because no other reason to play rook a8. King d7, bishop takes f7 is the only winning move. Wow, both sides have no time, but Magnus is playing correctly. Okay, he played rook check. And he wants the king to go to the f file so he can get a tempo. If the king goes to the h file, the king's cut off, so he likes that. I mean, white's winning, but it's very close. The way to win is very strange. You play king g3, and then your bishop can come around to win the bishop. And he did it. So if rook takes f6, you play bishop here, bishop here. Magnus found it. Yep. So he's going to take on d6 and take on c4 and try to get a rook and bishop versus rook position. Rook and bishop versus rook, which is unlikely to happen because I don't see Magnus losing his a-pawn. Probably still Magnus will win because Giri has 20 seconds left. I don't think he's going to draw rook and bishop versus rook with 20 seconds left. But I don't think he's going to lose his a-pawn. I think he's going to keep his a-pawn. Well, how's he going to win that a-pawn? Yeah, so I think Magnus is going to win without giving his a-pawn away. Man, the engine says this is a draw now. Doesn't like that move. It really doesn't like that move. Damn, wanted to play king c5 to d4. Yeah, getting that king active. He's more interested in getting his pawn active. Yeah, it doesn't like any of the moves either one of them is playing because they have no time on their clock. But he has a threat. Oh, Magnus stopped the threat. Darn. All three results are possible, including Giri winning. Magnus could hang a piece and lose. He's done it before. Man, both sides have 10 seconds. God damn. Man, the last 6 moves Giri played, the engine says are terrible. That's what happens when you have seconds left. The moves aren't any good anymore. Forcing Magnus's king to the best squares. Yay. Yeah, Magnus is getting the wrap it up button. All right. So Magnus wins. He's going to play Bishop C2, GG. Bishop C2, G. Yep. Giri should resign here, and he did. Magnus wins a very suspicious game. Very suspicious. All right, good match. Hopefully, more importantly than the winner of the match today will be what happens on Twitter now the next hour. Because Giri already, got some tweet in, so now it's Magnus's turn to respond in kind. Because, Magnus didn't tweet yet. All he's going to see is I won on demand with black against Magnus. Now, yeah. All right, so Magnus is up 1-0. They play match number 2 tomorrow. I'll see you guys tonight for my normal stream. And then I'll see you tomorrow at 10 when Magnus wraps up the match. Good try from Giri. He tried, but he failed miserably. The lesson is... Never try. Yeah. Man, Karen's just like, we go now? I'm going to do some stuff afterwards, video-wise, but yeah. How did Giri draw the last game? I don't even remember the last game. All I know is boo, boo. Yeah, that's all I know. All right. Anyway, there's a project going on in the chess world. We're trying to reanimate Morphe and get him back into commission here. I'll let you know how that goes. Until then, see you next time. Bye.